Welcome back to the 75th annual monthly movie marathon. The show in which myself, Nick Labarro, critic for NovaStream, interviewer for NovaStream.
Who's not suffering from a stroke, just in case.
No, I'm not. It's
me, Nick Labarro.
It's all dramatic effect, alongside with Peter Gray, Rotten Tomatoes certified critic man, tribute volunteerer, and all-round good person.
Oh, Nicholas.
It's a show where we marathon movies monthly because we watch movies in a monthly format marathon-y. Maybe I am having a stroke.
Yeah.
This is the sub part of the show, right?
Yeah, look. We watch movies in a monthly capacity.
That's true.
In a marathon-like
format, I guess. Because what we do, Peter Gray, I don't know if you know this, we're about almost 40 episodes into the show now.
Shit.
We've been doing this for a long time. Is we pick a blockbuster coming out. And in November of 2023, there is, I would argue, a blockbuster movie event happening.
A blockbuster movie event is happening. Whether or not it will be responded to in a blockbuster capacity
is yet to be determined.
Because, I mean, I don't know about you,
but I am feeling...
I feel like there's not a lot of hype for this.
No, it's weird, hey, because like...
And also, it's led by an actress that's very polarizing at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. But also, at the same time, it's funny because we will talk about it on today's show. For the movie that is coming out in November, The Hunger Games, Songbird of Ballad and... No, fuck me.
The Ballad of Songbirds.
I actually think I might be having a stroke.
The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds
Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is a prequel to The Hunger Games, which is what we will be talking about on today's show.
We'll be talking about 1, 2, 3, 4 Hunger Games movies. Should there be 4? Probably not.
We'll adapted from how many books? 3. It's the Hobbit effect, baby. It affected everyone in those. Well, I mean, like, let's break that down, right? Like, Mockingjay had the final book in the Hunger Games trilogy, a part 1 and part 2.
A part 1, a part 2.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, 1 book, had a part 1 and a part 2 film.
And fucking Twilight.
That's right, Breaking Dawn.
Was it Breaking Dawn?
Breaking Dawn, I believe.
Had a part 1 and part 2. That didn't need to happen.
The biggest fucking criminal, what's the word I'm looking for? The biggest culprit of all of them is The Hobbit.
Yeah.
Which took a children's-sized novel and made three-hour movies.
And those movies, not great.
I enjoy them, but that's because I'm a very biased Lord of the Rings fan. But
I'm not a biased Lord of the Rings fan. I do not like those movies.
I just say it how it is.
Yeah.
My Peter Gray, fuck me.
Rotten Tomatoes certified critic man.
If you're wondering why I'm feeling a bit dumb today,
it's because he's got a mullet for a haircut.
And secondly, by the time this comes out, we'll be able to actually talk about it. We just saw Five Nights at Freddy's.
We did. Yes, because it's a nice link into the fact that Josh Hutcherson, who is one of the leads of the Hunger Games, is leading Five Nights at Freddy's. And
the movie just left me feeling a bit dumb.
Yeah.
It's not good.
It's not great. And it sucks.
You will know that by this time.
It sucks that it's not great.
You know what? The biggest thing it suffers from? Potential.
Yeah.
Lots of potential.
Tonally unbalanced.
Yeah.
So if you think it's going to be a movie about a bunch of demonic animatronic things killing machines, people, reel that way back in.
Just back in a little bit, just a touch, because that is not what you're going to get.
Or
however,
more than a touch, because it's pretty much not that.
But I appreciate the Josh Hutcherson connection.
Yeah.
That's a nice little segue, because what we do on this show for first-time listeners who are going, what the fuck is this show about?
I'm so glad I've tuned into this.
Welcome to the show, because obviously the Hunger Games has a fan base, it has an audience, and I'm sure there will be people out there who will see Hunger Games in the title of this and be like, let's check out what these two dashing lads, even though one of them has a Moulet, have to say about the Hunger Games. So what we do is, like we said, we pick a blockbuster, which is Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm always going to get that title
Just
wrong.
call it Hunger Games.
Hunger Games prequel movie.
Yeah.
And we watch the necessary viewing leading up to that release, which in this case was 4 Hunger Games films. So we are going to discuss them all today. But Peter Gray, before we get into it, I want to ask you, did you see all of these in the cinema?
I did.
You were critiquing by this point?
I was critiquing
That's actually,
by this point.
Okay, critiquing.
You're like, critiquing. I was, yes. So I saw all 4 of these films at the media previews for them. My ex was a massive fan.
Oh, okay. This is something we have in common because my ex was a big fan of this.
So I took him to the first. No, I think I took him to. No. There was one of them that he couldn't go to, so I took a friend.
Is it because you weren't together anymore?
No. We were together for all of these films.
Right.
Yeah, he was a big fan.
Big fan.
I didn't read the books.
No.
So I went into them just knowing about like how excited everybody was for it.
And also like kids killing kids was like the big pull, right? Everyone's like, holy shit.
And in my mind, I was like, Battle Royale was fucking cool. So let's see this. And then obviously this is a much watered down version of that. But it was around the time that we were obviously getting so many young adult
novel adaptations.
And I was like, I'm ready for a good one because at that point, Twilight had kind of taken over that space, that genre. And those movies aren't good, and I was waiting for a good one. And thankfully, we got it with
the Hunger Games?
With some of the Hunger Games.
With some of the Hunger Games. Well, I'm interested to talk about it because, like I said, very much so similar. I did see all of these in the cinemas. But when Mockingjay Part 1 came out, the person I was dating at the time, and also my brother's girlfriend, he was dating at the time, big book readers, book fans, and loved the Hunger Games. So we did a cinema marathon of one Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay Part 1. Shit. And I will never forget, just before, and they were showing Mockingjay Part 1 at midnight. So it was like a 6 p.m., 9 p.m., then midnight release.
Yeah, okay.
I'll never forget looking up the reviews for Mockingjay Part 1 just before the movie started and went, oh no. And she went, what? And she looked over. It's like, why would you show me that? I'm like, you looked over. Obviously, we're not together anymore.
I thought that story was going to be like, I'll never forget that just before the Mockingjay started, she was like, it's over.
And then I had to sit through Mockingjay Part 1. Which was arguably the best thing to happen that night. It was not, but no, because we had broken up by the time Part 2 came out, and then I saw that one all on my lonesome. But also, Mockingjay Part 2 was one of the first video reviews I did for nicksflicksfix.
Hey.
Not on the Instagram, as back when I was doing YouTube ones back in the day. So we all got connections to the games. But speaking of the books, I am currently reading the first book at the moment because we are doing it on The Book Was Better. And yeah, I'm very intrigued to talk about these because I'm not a huge fan of this franchise.
Right.
I feel like every time I've watched these movies, I've been forced to because of something. So like the first time...
and this hasn't helped because you only watch them because
of this, right? Well, that's exactly like I only saw them all initially because I try and go see everything in the cinema because I get mad FOMO, cinematic FOMO. The rewatching 1 and 2 before Mockingjay was because I went with my ex. And then, hey.
Sorry, she could be lovely. I'm just, being gay and saying...
No comment. And then the third time that I've watched Hunger Games Catching Fire was for this show. So I do feel like it's like a franchise I don't care to return to.
Yeah. There's no reason for it.
But do you enjoy them, right? Like you...
I do.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. But I do enjoy them. And I saw all of these... I would have seen all of these movies if I wasn't reviewing.
Yeah, totally,
It obviously helped that I was reviewing, but I saw all of these films in the cinemas twice.
Yes.
Because I went to the preview screenings and then my mum was a big fan of them. So I took her to all of them. Well, she technically took me because she paid.
Your
for
mum's
it,
a bloody
but
sweetheart.
yeah,
too.
she really
Bless
is.
her.
But she was a fan of them, so I took her to see them
Nice.
the second time because I was like,
So safe
I
to
don't
say.
hate these movies enough to not see them.
See them again. Totally. But that's how I feel as well. Like, I don't actually. There's only one movie out of this things that I was like actually thought was a bad movie. The rest of them are the same deal. Like, I don't hate rewatching. I just feel like I'm forced to. Like, I'm not actively just putting the Hunger Games on.
Rewatching them, it was like, especially two of them.
Yeah.
You're like, these are really fucking good movies.
Yes, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll break that down, won't we, Peter Gray?
Before we break them down.
Yes, you've been teasing me about this all day.
So I've seen people do this on other like Instagram channels, and I just thought, you know what, it would be really fun to do it just to see.
Okay.
You know, so basically, one of the actors in the new Hunger Games films is Viola Davis.
Oh yeah.
So what I was going to do was basically, I'm going to give you blind rankings
Oh.
of Viola Davis movies.
Oh
So
shit. Okay.
1 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm going to say a movie title.
Yeah.
But you do not know what movie I'm going to say.
No, I don't.
And you don't know what I'm going to say next.
No.
And so for example, Air, which I won't include.
Won't include. Okay.
But I say Air, and you go, Air's pretty bloody good. I'm going to rank that like 3.
Oh yes, I've seen this happen before.
But then I could say, but then the next movie I could say could be like something that's dog shit, and you'll be like, well, that's 5. But then I could say a really dog shit when you're like,
shit, now I've got to put that ahead.
And then the worst one might end up being at number 1.
Number 1.
You don't know what I'm going to say.
Because I don't know what you're going to say. Now, before you throw these at me, I like this game. Yeah. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Am I ranking her performance or the film?
You're ranking the film.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good thing Air's not in there because I would have gone straight to number 1.
Yeah. So we're taking Air out.
Viola Davis movies. All right, I'm ready.
And also, if you haven't seen them, tell me pass because then
It'll automatically.
I'll choose another one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because I thought,
I'm ready.
All right. The Help.
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Widows.
Ooh. 2.
Mm-hmm.
That scared me. That one scared me the most. I'm trying to think that should have been number 1. Okay.
Doubt.
Ooh. Fuck. 3.
Okay.
It's a good movie. It's a great movie.
Okay. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close.
Oh, 5. So this has to be the best one because I've gone 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Suicide Squad.
I knew it was coming. Shit.
Suicide Squad at number 1.
Wow.
What?
Nick's so controversial.
Yeah.
My favorite Viola Davis movie now on record is Suicide Squad. Oh, wait, you said The Suicide Squad?
No, I said Suicide Squad.
Shit.
I was like, I know what this is. The Suicide Squad's actually really good.
Wow, so it's Suicide Squad, Widows, Doubt, The Help, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. 4 of those make real good sense. Number 1 does not.
Yeah.
Widows is so good.
Widows is so
criminally
fucking
underrated.
good.
So I wish more people watch that.
Yeah.
That's a fun game.
Yeah, I like it.
We'll return to that
I
in
think
later
it should be
episodes. I think that's good fun.
Yeah. Because I was debating, I was like, do I do Viola Davis? And I was like, I could do Francis Lawrence, but outside of the Hunger Games, he hasn't made
Like I Am Legend would be
I Am
number 1,
Legend
and that's
and he's made like Red Sparrow, I think.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I didn't mind Red Sparrow. I like Red Sparrow.
And then I was thinking of other actors, and I was like, it's pretty
Jennifer
much,
Lawrence is too easy.
Yeah, and she's not in this one really.
That's true.
And like
good
Rachel
point.
Ziegler hasn't done enough.
Yeah, true.
And
Tom Blythe hasn't done a lot.
And Peter Dinklage, I was like, maybe, but I was like, Viola Davis has just got a.
I rate it. She's got a filmography.
And
that's fun.
Now we know that what your favorite Viola Davis
Suicide Squad. It's awesome. On record. But we can't erase that.
If we went performances, that wouldn't be too bad.
It wouldn't be too bad because she's the best part of
really
that movie, ultimately.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to get you next month.
Okay.
And next month's ones, we'll find out at the end of the episode.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, okay. Hey.
But for now, let's talk all things Hunger Games. So for those who don't know, The Hunger Games came out in 2012. And it's a story of Katniss Everdeen, who voluntarily takes her sister's younger place in The Hunger Games, a televised competition.
Sister's younger place. Takes her younger sister's place
in The Hunger Games. Mullet. A televised competition in which 2 teenagers from each of the 12 districts of Panem are chosen at random to fight to the death.
Panem.
There has been so many times that's popped into my head. Hey, currently sitting at 84% critic score, 81 for audiences.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So you said Battle Royale earlier, which is an early 2000s Japanese film
Also,
in which
if you haven't seen Battle Royale, fuck me, it is so good.
Peter Gray.
Have you not seen it?
I've seen it.
Oh, you don't like it?
I don't like it.
Oh, shit.
I think Battle Royale, again, just like Suicide Squad being my favorite Viola Davis movie, I think it's very overrated.
Okay.
I think it's very overrated. I saw it in cinemas last year for the first time.
Right, okay.
And it did not live up to the
maybe it
hype.
could have been because I saw it when I was like a teenager.
Right
really
when it
young.
came out. Like,
So maybe
it came out 2000.
2001.
Yeah.
So I remember renting it.
Yeah.
So maybe I have like
more of a connection
I
to
saw
it. Yeah.
I kind of saw it before
The hype and the
maybe.
cult status.
The
and stuff.
other thing, there was another movie called, is it Session 7?
Session 9.
Is that
I think I know the one you're talking about.
where it's like a reality, not a reality show, but
Yeah,
they go
Session
around.
9.
Session 9. No, it's not that one.
It's not that one.
This is great for TV. Go quickly, just type in Silence of the Lambs. There's a method to this madness, okay? Because I forgot the actress.
It's degrees of separation, right?
Silence of the Lambs.
There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, that's a great fucking movie.
Great movie.
Watch it for Halloween. Go to full cast. Go again. We want Brooke Smith. Go down to Brooke Smith. She is the and we want go to her
Early 2000s?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s.
Sorry, this will make complete sense.
It's gonna be so worth it. Series 7?
No, Series 7. The Contenders.
Interesting. Okay, let's
pretty
quickly.
sure this
A TV
is-
program selects people at random
Yes.
to kill one another for fame and freedom.
Yes. This is another movie that
Okay.
kind of reminds me of, and this movie is like nicely fucked up.
Yeah, this one's like a dark comedy by the looks of it.
And it's like just people. Yeah, it's people like
Then we had The Hunt in 2020.
underrated as fuck. I think.
Yeah, I think I need to watch it again.
I
don't think loved
rewatched it not
initially.
too long ago and was like, yeah, I can see why this movie
bombed.
but also it came out like
literally during COVID.
I can see why people were upset about it.
Yeah.
But also, it's a dark comedy, so you can't really take
It's
everything.
it's satire,
very,
right?
It's very
Yeah.
satirical. Anyway,
But while we're talking about people killing people, so Hunger Games. So we're in District 12, right?
Yeah.
Katniss lives in District 12.
Yeah.
And all the districts have 75 years ago.
Yeah.
There was an uprising, 74 at this point. There was an uprising against the Capitol.
the idea behind this movie is horrific.
It's horrible, right?
Like-
So it's a military dictatorship that was overthrown, and then to curb that from ever happening again, they segregated everyone into districts and were like, every year, 2 people are going to get selected at random. You can be as young as 14 years old, I believe.
so fucked.
And they have to fight to the death.
Do you think
one
you'd be
person
in
walks out?
like a high district or a low district?
I'd be in a low district,
Yeah.
but I'd win.
You think
Do you think you'd win a Hunger Games?
I don't think I would.
I'd win. I got the mullet.
I think,
one's fucking with this guy.
I think, you know what? That's maybe. I think.
I think you got to give yourself a bit more credit.
I think young Pete wouldn't
Oh, but
because I was like frail
yeah.
and I would have just been like, I had
You're
asthma.
like, what the fuck?
I had asthma, so I wouldn't be able to run very far. And I'd probably try to be like, don't kill me. I think maybe now I'd probably be a bit more like, yeah, fuck yeah, and I'd kill
Yeah,
you.
you got a bit more cunt about you
Basically,
now. Like,
because I'm like, I've been through some shit.
nothing's getting old Peter down.
But yeah, I'd
You'd give it a red hot crack.
I do give it a good.
I
red
don't
hot
think
crack.
you'd be scared to kill someone.
No.
In the Hunger Games.
In the Hunger Games.
In the Hunger Games.
In the Hunger Games.
In real life.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be if it was a case, and it's also a case of it's your survival, and you go into that fight
What do you
or flight
think?
mode.
So, because obviously Katniss's skill is with the bow. She's a
Bow.
fantastic hunter with
Yeah.
the bow and arrow. What would
Yeah.
your skill be?
I was like, well, I can't. I was like,
This is one for the YouTube audience. I was like, lots of allies. Lots of allies.
yeah, I'll be like, trust me, you want to keep me around. And then I'll be like, I can just survive on protein. If you know what? Maybe just because I still feel like the idea of actually stabbing someone still kind of weirds me out because
It's gross, right?
Because
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the
yeah.
knife going. So it's like maybe just give me,
and it's the squelch.
So maybe just like give me a gun, and like I can just be from.
It's
far
always like
away.
cheating in the Hunger Games,
Yeah.
hey, where it's like, yeah, I'm so good with an assault rifle.
Yeah, if I couldn't have a gun, maybe just like something like maybe like an axe, because that way I can like just swing it and be like, I don't know, I don't have to physically.
You don't want to watch it.
I don't have to really like.
I'd love to see a Hunger Games parody where you're one of the characters with that, and you're just like,
but I manage to kill everybody every time. I'm always like, and then it lands and like gets him in the eye, and you're like, oh yay, yeah.
I'd pay to watch that actually. It's, I mean,
yeah,
we can always do it. But Katniss is good with a bow.
What would your?
I don't know. I was just thinking about it. I was like, I've got a sport background. I'm good at wrestling and tackling, and I could probably like throw people into things.
Yeah.
Like I would just use brute force.
Yeah.
And just scare people. I would just, you know, allies. So
and then I'd be like, don't throw me around. Oh no.
Oh, that's the last thing I want to see thrown around.
Not the wrestler.
I just think I'd use brute force,
Yeah.
but then, I don't know. Like I played cricket growing up, so maybe give me a cricket bat. Like I'll Shaun of the Dead it maybe a little bit,
nice,
and go from there. So I'm glad to know that I'm ready for any sort of Hunger Games.
And you never know with the way the world goes. Who the fuck knows?
Who the fuck knows?
But I'd like to think that I wouldn't be super low district.
Right. You reckon you're a mid-tier district?
I feel like
you're a bit District 6 about you?
I feel like mentality-wise,
Yeah.
I should be up high. But I also know what I'm earning.
Do you feel like you,
I also know what
do you
I'm
feel like
earning,
you
and
should
I'm
be
like,
in the capital?
Absolutely. And you know what? Capital
Give you them Stanley Tucci teeth.
capital people, you'll want me around.
Allies. Lots of allies.
Yeah.
So actually, while we're on the capital is just this like dystopian utopia where everyone's dressed like
my
it's
God.
Mardi Gras,
Yeah.
like all the time, right? It's like one big Mardi Gras.
Which is why I should be there.
So, right? So we got like Elizabeth Banks as Effie, who's like one of the capital
Little like
delegates
and, like,
who goes and
like essentially just like a glorified PR.
yeah, like literally, right?
Yeah,
Capital
yeah.
PR for District 12
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
Hunger Games, and she's got these like giant fuck off wigs and lots of
And
makeup.
like her lips are always
Yeah,
She looks incredible in this.
And then you got like Stanley Tucci, who is the Karl Stefanovic of the Capitol. He's on all the TV shows, he's doing all the interviews, like, you know, maybe a bit more bearable than Karl. Love you, Carl, if you're watching.
Yeah.
But he's got like these big fake veneers and like pink colored. I love his hair later in the later films as well. That's this like mohawk with a ponytail.
I was about to say he's like Karl Stefanovic if he was like consistently taking cocaine, and then I was like, so it's just Karl Stefanovic.
It's Karl Stefanovic. Also, the Capitol is 100%. They are racking lines like there's no tomorrow.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Molly everywhere in the Capitol, for sure.
Molly, meth.
But then that's a stark contrast, obviously, to the districts who are slumming it and like
who look like they're taking meth.
they are like homeless people on the street, meth sort of thing. So, and then Katniss's District 12, and she lives with her little sister Primrose. Who it's her first year having her name put in the drawer for the Hunger Games,
and it's like and it's like obviously you can have your name in there like multiple times.
So basically, when we're introduced to Gale played by Liam Hemsworth, we find out his name is in the drawer like 42 times, I think. Yeah. Because from every year where they turn 14, I believe, it gets put in once.
Yeah.
And then you can do things like if you need more food for your family, put your name in 5 times.
Because he's got the bread, so it's kind of like basically he's taken the bread for his family.
But he's done that because he's like, I'm at a point now, like my name is in there 40 times. Like putting it in there more doesn't really lessen my chances of going. Yeah. And then Primrose and Katniss also live with their mum, and Katniss and the mum have like a real cantankerous relationship.
Yeah, you kind of get that Katniss has very much like been the mother to Primrose.
Yes.
And now it's like when they're going into the Hunger Games, Katniss is kind of like, if something happens to me, you can't flake out on Primrose.
Exactly.
Like, you've got to actually be a mother
to her. Yeah, she's definitely seems like one of those mothers who's like something very traumatic's happened to her.
And she's just like given. It's like
and she's given up. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she doesn't really want to be a mother anymore. But so we've got,
that's not how it works.
That's not how mumming works, unfortunately. Yeah. But so Katniss, Primrose, and then obviously Gale's there too, and he's sort of like Katniss's love interest. Like they're a bit like a will they, won't they?
Yeah.
At the start, he's into her, and Katniss is like, I'm a fucking independent woman, don't need no man, sort of things. But then
she's Beyonce.
But it's the Reaping, which is the name that they call the event of which the names are pulled out of the hat.
This is like
it's some proper
it's really harsh
1984 shit. Hey, like it's kind of scary. Like it's terrifying.
Like they go up, they get their finger pricked, put the blood in the thing, and they stand in lines, and it's just all. And
then all these like propaganda videos of like you being selected for the Hunger Games is the biggest honor for you in your district. It out to be
like like you're honoring.
It's
like,
gross.
Yeah, because then you're just like because all of you are like District 12. You're like statistically like District 12 people are going to die.
Yes,
like they're obviously like the
most malnourished. They're the poorest. They like live in the. They don't have
what skills could they possibly?
They don't get trained up and shit like some of the other districts do. So. Effie Elizabeth Banks comes along, she pulls the name out, and it's Primrose Everdeen on her first ever reaping. She gets picked, and Katniss is like, "Nope,
that
great." The yell,
that
the
scene
scream,
where she just goes, like, "I volunteer," and you can tell that she's just said it without
thinking,
and then she goes, "I volunteer," and then it's kind of like when she goes, "I volunteer" as tribute, like she.
It's sunk in.
Like it's sunk in what she's doing.
That natural protective reflex, of her sister.
It's like, this is like, at this point, Jennifer Lawrence already had an Oscar nomination for Winter's Bone.
Yes. I mean, fuck, she's great in that.
Yeah. And
also, Jennifer Lawrence is great in this. So.
And she had she'd done like X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
But this was really where it was like, okay, Jennifer Lawrence is like a fucking movie star.
She's a fucking star, and she's great in this as well.
And then this movie went and made like $690 million, so it was like, yeah, okay.
Is Gale shitty for not volunteering, considering his name was in so many times?
I don't think so, because his relation, because he doesn't really have a relationship with Peter.
That's true. Fair point.
So
should have he gone then for Katniss? Maybe the story's better, obviously, when it's like he volunteered for his sister, but like. And as it goes on throughout the film, I'm like, Gale just becomes a worse and worse character for me.
Yeah, it's a kind of
not that likable of a dude.
But then I was like, doesn't it always have to be a girl and a boy?
It's a great point.
So I'm pretty sure once
That's a great point.
I'm pretty sure once she's volunteered, he can't volunteer.
He can't volunteer for her. Yeah.
So
because then Peter's picked.
Yeah.
Josh Hutcherson.
Peter Malark.
Peter Malark, and everyone's just firstly kind of like, who the fuck's Peter?
Yeah.
And then he just like
and then you realize
immediately walks up. Because then there's a little flashback when Katniss and Peter lock eyes.
And you get that they've kind of know each other.
Because as it's revealed later on, Peter he works in the bakery and he gave her bread.
Yeah.
Which is basically like fucking in District 12.
And you're like, I was like, but not a euphemism at all. Like,
no. Like,
literally just like...
Imagine biting into that bread. It's like, bread.
There goes the baker with his tray, like always.
So then we got Peter and Katniss on the way.
Did you hear all that stuff about what their celebrity name would be?
Would it be Penis by any chance?
Cat P as well.
Oh my God. I thought Penis.
But Penis, yeah. But Cat P.
Cat P is good. Yeah. It doesn't work like they either way.
There's not a nice... Yeah.
There's no nice couple name for them. So they are taken to the Capitol, and on that train on the way we meet Haymitch, played by Woody Harrelson, who's a former Hunger Games winner and a drunk.
Yeah.
And like, he is fantastic.
And basically just like, I think this is just Woody Harrelson.
It's just, he rocked up on set and he's like, y'all filming a movie here? That's not a great Woody Harrelson impersonation, but
and then
it's close.
Yeah. And I was about to say, and then they go, yes, we are. And he's like, all right. And we're like, but that's not him.
It's like, how are you not Matthew McConaughey's brother? What the fuck?
Have you heard though? Apparently they might
They're doing a DNA test,
they might be related because everyone's like, you guys are way too similar. Yeah.
It's all that weed, baby.
Yeah.
And so Haymitch is basically like, you guys, this is your life now. You're fucked.
But
but I'll help you.
And we need you guys to be likable because the more likable you are, you get sponsors.
And the more sponsors you get, the more chances you have of getting food, weapons, like
whilst you're in the death arena.
While you're in the death arena known as the Hunger Games, it'll all get dropped in.
We also meet,
which is why Effie is important to them as well, because like I said, PR person, right?
And we also meet quite possibly the sexiest man in this series.
I'm not going to disagree.
Lenny Kravitz.
Lenny Kravitz as Cinna, who is the designer. He's the costume designer. He sort of like puts together the theme for the character of who Katniss is in the Hunger Games.
He is a great character.
Awesome.
And he looks incredible. This dude is like this dude is like 60 now.
Dude, let's not forget that I listened to Fly Away the other day because it's a great song. And you know what the playlist was? Awesome 90s. And I was like, that came out in the fucking 90s?
Yeah.
Dude,
I
Lenny
think
Kravitz, man.
late 90s, but still 90s.
Still 90s. And still Lenny Kravitz. So we meet him, and that's when we also then we see Stanley Tucci for the first time, who is Caesar, who is like I said, the Carl Stefanovic.
And his cohort, Wes Bentley.
Yes, who is the game maker, I guess is what you call it. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, which is great. Why I have the cast list also, right here with me.
So in
Seneca Crane.
In the new Hunger Games, we have the young version of Donald Sutherland's character.
Yes, President Snow.
And from what I understand, a young version of Stanley Tucci's character is in it.
Oh, which is crazy because I'm like, how old are these people? Because it's like
unless,
60 years earlier, isn't
Stanley
it?
Stanley Tucci's character, Caesar
is a junior.
Unless the look of that character is what...
Caesar is like a James Bond. It's a different person.
Well, that's the only thing I can think of because the way that... Because Snow, who is Donald Sutherland, who is like the president.
Yeah. Who's the fucking guy who came up with the Hunger Games, right?
He is so young. Like Tom Blythe, he is so young in this new movie because it's really going back to like...
it is.
And then there's a character in it. I'm trying to think of the actor who that plays him. Jason Schwartzman.
Yes.
And he looks like the young version of Stanley Tucci. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense because Stanley Tucci's character can't be that fucking old in it.
That's what doesn't make sense to me.
So let's just have a look.
Just for context, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes is set during the 10th Hunger Games, which is 64 years. So, and Snow's old in these films,
it makes
like he's
sense
dying.
for him to be.
And then Jason Schwartzman.
I'm sure it's Jason Schwartzman.
No, it was. I swear I saw Jason Schwartzman in the trailer.
Jason Schwartzman.
Jason Schwartzman.
Maybe he's further down because people don't.
True. Yeah, now I'm confused. Oh, I tell you what, Michael Arndt isn't a bad screenwriter. He wrote a little
Where
film.
Is he? Peter Dinklage. Well, Peter Dinklage and Viola Davis are really far down. Jason Schwartzman.
Lucky Flickerman. Okay, so he must be Caesar's papa.
Okay, cool.
Caesar's papa.
Which that makes me feel a lot better.
Yes.
Because I was like, there is no way
that this fucking dude is like
old.
I mean, like capital plastic surgery would be fucking mental.
I guess it just means that character is just taking the flamboyance of his father.
Yes.
I guess. All right. Crisis of clearly that probably no one else gives a shit about is averted.
The Flickerman file is closed.
Yeah.
But we meet everyone and then we start meeting some of the other tributes like a young Jack Quaid.
Oh my God. Baby Jack Quaid, who I was like watching it going, Jack Quaid, and you look like a fetus. He is so...
He is young. He is fucking young in this film. Do you know who else is young in this film? Amanda Steinberg.
Yeah.
As young Rue.
And then we've got Isabel Furman.
Isabel Furman's in there as well.
I mean, she was young. She was coming off of like Orphan, so she was still... And then obviously
Alexander Ludwig. There's no one else who I really knew, but they were the main ones.
Yeah.
And they get all the tributes together and start setting them up, and the whole idea initially is to introduce them all with this big show and this big parade to be like, these are your tributes. And the biggest thing about Katniss's is that she has a flaming dress.
So yeah,
that Cinna creates for her. She becomes
and the same. Like they put Peter in the flaming
suit.
The flaming suit.
True, that's true. Obviously dazzles a little bit more.
I was like, the CGI in this wasn't great.
No, but also not a crazy budget on this film, by the way, as well.
It's quite surprising that it is.
This is actually hasn't come from like a major. It's Lionsgate.
Lionsgate,
which is a studio.
But this is still before Lionsgate was like
$78 million budget. That's modest for a film this big.
It's a lot of money, but for a film like this, it's pretty like.
And obviously, success. It grossed $690 million worldwide.
I just saw its opening weekend,
150. So it made double its budget in its opening weekend.
Fuck yeah!
But that's the hype, right? Everyone was keen for it. But she becomes the girl on fire.
Yes,
that's her nickname, Katniss's.
And then that because her personality is quite like abrasive.
Very abrasive.
Like she's just like, I don't give a shit about
she fucking hates the Capitol.
She's like, I'm not doing this song and dance. Like,
totally,
and they're just like, but you need
no ballads, no songbirds, no snakes.
But you need the song and dance to survive. Mm-hmm. So the girl on fire becomes like the name. The dress obviously helps people go, oh my God, you're amazing. She then shows off her bow and arrow skills, and it's in that scene's pretty like where
that scene's awesome.
Where no one's paying attention to her. So then she's like, fine, fuck it. And then shoots the arrow into an
Into
apple
the-
that
yeah.
someone eating. And then she's like, thank you for your consideration.
And then she walks out and everyone's like, Effie's like, what the fuck? Why did you do that?
And naturally everyone's like, you've just like
You fucked yourself.
But then she
scores an 11.
She becomes the highest rated person.
It's great, hey.
But then that also sets up further divide between herself and Peter.
Yes.
Because he's gets 8 points.
Yes.
And it's like 8's like that's a great number.
But it's not 11.
It's not 11. And then they go, what you guys need to do is pretend that you like each other.
Which goes a little too far for young Peter.
Yeah.
He definitely starts getting a bit more into it then.
Yeah.
And for reasons later in this movie that makes sense. But yeah, and they're on Caesar's like talk show.
Yeah.
And they're talking about how they love each other and how it's tough for them to go into the games because like one of us might die.
So then they know that that'll help. Well, it'll help from the outside perspective. It doesn't really help on the inside. It's weird how people team up because you're like, you team up with someone, fine, you'll get so far. You ultimately still have to kill this other person. You have to kill this person,
but that's, it's so true because then Katniss also teams up with Rue, played by Amanda Stenberg, basically because she's like, she sees like Prim in her, right?
And
like
Rue is like she
must be the youngest, like 13 or 14,
so it's
right?
Like she knows that she's not like a threat. Rue is far too innocent for this.
Yeah.
So she's like, I'll take care of you. And because Rue takes care of Katniss when she gets stung by the
tracker jacker.
That's a fucking great scene.
That's a great scene. Well, that's pretty much like the first hour and a bit of the movie. It's like there's a lot of build up.
It does take a while for them to get into the game.
There's a lot to go over though. That's the thing.
Yeah, and we need to build like this
makes
world.
Sense. Yeah, you don't just like drop. It's not like the Hunt where it's like it literally just starts in the death match, right?
Yeah.
But then we do go into the Hunger Games, and it's like I said, it's this like massive death arena that's like a part forest and
half of them die within the first like 30 seconds.
I do love that opening because like once the horn goes off for the Hunger Games to start, all the sound cuts out and it's just the score playing. You are just watching kids getting slaughtered.
I love that they went for that instead of hearing like the screams. You just see this like massacre and how people are just like,
and lots of like these close-ups on Katniss, which is like the chaotic nature of like everything going on.
It's almost like it sets in when you just go, oh shit, like this is real.
It's super real.
So
Katniss gets her bag and she gets away.
She just runs off.
I can't remember what happens to Peter. He fucks off somewhere.
I think they both
get
sort of
separated at the start. But then once the initial like insanity's over, they hear these cannons. And it's like memoriam cannons, basically to let you know how many people have died and how many are remaining. So the cannons
go off, and then because they're in like essentially like a giant dome.
Yes.
There's screens that get projected that basically show
the people who have been killed. So you can see if like your district partner or your allies have died and shit.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Yeah. Like, because that would psychologically mess with you as well. So it's pretty hectic.
And so basically Peter then falsely aligns himself with with
the cool kids.
So you got like Alexander Ludwig,
it's like the cool kid clique of high school,
Isabella
right?
Furman, who are all like, they're just like evil for the sake of being evil.
They suck, man. They absolutely suck.
And they're just like, well, we know that Katniss is our biggest threat. So we're going to keep Peter around because naturally
she will come to him.
And she knows this, like she overheard
She's up in
it.
The tree. Well, because just before that, and this kind of goes to show like the power that the game maker has, Crane, that he launches a firebomb attack to get Katniss to go closer to these people. So like rather than her like just staying away and hiding, they're like, let's just force her into
so it's
their
like
path.
It is like really unfair when you realize
super rigged.
where you're just like, she's like smart enough to know what to do.
Totally.
But they're just like, no.
But again, it's like,
but also that's
like thematically the part of the whole series of like the power control of these people.
And it's being aired for people to watch, which is super
it's like Death Race, right?
Yeah,
like it's, it's that sort of thing.
But then, she overhears that Peter's working with them, but she knows that he's not like actually working with them.
No.
But she's also like, I've still got to look after myself first.
Totally. So she's hiding in a tree.
Yeah.
And they're basically like, well, if you're not going to come down, we're going to wait.
So they all sleep at the bottom of the tree.
And then she sees Rue in another tree.
Yeah.
Less Rue.
And
less young
there
Rue.
are these wasps, tracker jackers.
But they're basically big fucking wasps. Yeah.
And she's like, well, I'll just cut this branch down, that tracker jackers will drop and they'll all flee.
And they all run away.
As she's cutting it down, they're biting her like neck and but she can't scream because she doesn't want to wake them up.
Which is brutal.
It's brutal.
Fucking
and
brutal.
you can see like her neck is getting like bigger
and bigger. She starts like tripping out too on the fucking...
it drops. They all run. One of the girls gets just like stung to death and her like it's...
That's right. Her face like really like, puffy and boily
like,
and shit. Yeah.
And then
which is reasonably graphic for like a PG-13 movie. Yeah.
And then this is where Rue then saves Katniss because she's like, I nursed you back to health, and it took her like 3 days to come back
to help. Yeah.
And this is where their relationship kind of starts. And but you also know like, well, this isn't going to end well because
no, it doesn't because young Rue gets killed.
Yeah.
And it's fucking brutal.
It's really sad.
It's sad. It's super sad. But that kind of for Katniss is the catalyst, right?
Yeah.
Where she's like, fuck this, fuck the Capitol, fuck the games. And when they play Rue's memoriam thing and they have a camera on Katniss, she does the 3-finger salute.
Yeah.
And Snow straight away is like, there's something like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Like,
and
we need to kill her.
You see her doing that, and then you see all of District 12 watching
when the district's doing it. Oh,
they
man.
all do it.
You know the uprising's coming, baby.
So then basically they're like, you know what? I don't like her, but I also know that I need her in this game.
Yes.
So
because it's what the people are watching,
so then
right?
it's like, you know what? New rule. If you and your district partner both survive, get to the end, and you don't have to kill each other, I will allow people from the same district to have 2 winners.
Yeah, because basically, like, Peter's love is still kind of blossoming because Katniss also saves Peter's life.
She does, yeah.
After that. And then there's this big finale on top of like the fucking the storage shed things. It's just a storage shed.
Yeah.
And Alexander Ludwig's like holding Peter hostage, and then these fucking greyhound monster things.
Yeah, and he's basically like, I can snap he's like, I can just snap his neck.
Yep.
He's like, so it's like, you can kill me, but I kill
I'll
Peter.
snap his neck, yeah.
But then also like, I know that if you shoot me, I'm pulling
him
Peter
back
down
with me,
So
yeah.
it's like, so what are you going to do? And
she
Katniss,
just kills it.
But Katniss, she's like, I know what I can do. Hits his hand, hits Peter's hand.
Yeah.
So that way it's like, so Alexander Ludwig, let's go.
Yeah.
He falls down, gets
killed by the
all
dogs.
And then it's like, oh my God, we've got 2 survivors. But
the only reason that there's 2 survivors is because by whether it was intentional or not, Crane has put these poison berries into the games, and Peter had some.
Yeah.
And he pulls them out of his pocket, and Katniss is basically like, we're going to eat these and kill ourselves. Like, it's like a Romeo and Juliet thing. Like, we're going to kill ourselves.
Or Blue Lagoon.
Or Blue Lagoon.
They do. And
Which is Romeo and Juliet in the water, I guess.
It basically is, yeah. Fuck, remember Blue Lagoon?
I wasn't laughing at the blue. I was just oh shit, I didn't think of that comparison.
Movie, but that's what they do.
I once farted on the set of Blue Lagoon.
Have you seen Blue Lagoon?
I think I have, but not for a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically
they threatened to kill themselves,
and
like eat the berries.
We kill ourselves, you've got no victor.
And then also the crowd's like, we don't want them to fucking die. So then Snow's like, all right, new rules. He's fucking pissed.
But he's like, new rules, I'll let you both live. Yeah. Then he's like, you know what? Only one of you can live. So I've reversed it. Then they're like, fuck it, let's kill each other.
That's right, yeah.
And then he's like, you know what? Fine. You can both win.
And they
do.
And then Snow's like, these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
So he gets his revenge by leaving a bowl of berries in Crane's war room, which is great.
Yeah.
Like, I do love that. This will be a common theme throughout all of them. My favorite character is President Snow. Right. I love how bitchy he is. But also Donald Sutherland's brilliant as well.
Yeah.
And then there's hope for District 12 because they're kind of like, oh, wow, we've now seen what people from our district are capable of.
Yeah.
And the last shot of the film is President Snow. And it's just so fucking ominous. And I was like, all right, I'm excited to see where this little one goes.
And then...
Where does it go, Pete?
Where does it go? It goes into a little movie called Catching Fire.
The Hunger Games Catching Fire, which came out the year after, 2013. Katniss Everdeen and Peter Malark become targets of the Capitol after their victory in the 74th Hunger Games sparks a rebellion in the districts of Panem. Now, critically,
yes,
90%.
Boom.
Audience score 89%.
I believe it. I see it.
It's the highest rated Hunger Games film.
It's the best. best.
It is the best one. This is my favorite Hunger Games.
This is the best one.
So I should just wrap up. Like, the Hunger Games, I like. I don't love that movie. I think it's well made, but there's like, I find the first like hour a bit too long, and then I'm kind of like, I wish the last hour and a bit was like a quick faster. I wish there was like a bit more urgency throughout the games, but that's just me. I'm a 90-minute movie kid, so whatever. I sat through all 3.5 hours of Killers of the Flower Moon, guys. Like, okay, so don't come at me. But yeah, I like it, but I don't love it.
Yeah, okay.
I do really, really enjoy Catching Fire.
Catching Fire is like,
because that is a blockbuster movie.
It is a banger of
a
movie.
Banger blockbuster spectacle of a film.
And you can also be like, "Ooh, you guys got some more money."
Oh, they got a little bit more cash this time around. How much cash? I can tell you right now. Double the budget, $130 million.
Made it back opening weekend.
150 million, and then 865 million worldwide. So it's almost 150 million more worldwide than the first one. But also, like we said, I do believe it is the better film.
It is the best film.
And to me, the best film in the series.
Yeah.
Obviously, prequel TBD.
But
I'm not holding out hope.
Yeah.
Prequel's also the longest in the franchise, 2 hours 37.
Yeah. These movies are long. They're all at that 140-minute mark.
Yeah, this one 146 minutes. Yeah. So, but there's a lot going on in this movie.
There is a lot going on.
So Katniss has got PTSD now.
As you would.
Fair enough. She goes to kill. She's with Gale. She goes to kill a deer, and she sees Jack Quaid.
Yeah,
and shoots him down because obviously she kills Jack Quaid in the first film, as we said.
Yeah,
go back the tape, you'll know.
As we say, like spoilers, but you probably should have known that.
The biggest issue right now, and he's just a little bitch boy about it, is Gale is just so jealous about penis, and like Gale just wants penis to end. But I feel like Liam Hemsworth plays it so bitchy as well. He's just always like, Katniss, I don't want you to be with him. And I'm like, it's for the show. Like, come on. Stringing Peter along, sure. But like,
what are you doing here?
Took the I-95.
Get up! Store.
So Gale's being a little bitch. Hamish is like drunk as fuck as always. He's like doing his little drunken outbursts.
Hamish is just Woody Harrelson.
But
Lenny Kravitz still looks great.
But what I do love about this is that Snow comes to visit Katniss in District 12. And I was like, that's
of Jennifer Lawrence and Donald Sutherland in a scene together.
And they're fucking great. Like that scene's all like they are. I love the opposing nature battle of these two. Like, and they're both really great actors.
And the funny thing is though, you like, because like Donald, I don't know why that made me
drop my lid.
Donald Sutherland, like Snow is so against like this uprising. Yeah. And you kind of know that Katniss isn't really like for any of this either. So so you almost want to be like, you guys should have more in common. Like,
but I think Snow knows that.
Yeah, he's
he's a smart dude.
He's like, I see so much of basically me in you.
Yes.
That's like the worst sentence.
No, I get that. No, like they're the same person. Like they had the same sentimentalities. They have the same sort of personalities of like they're driven, they're passionate, they want to protect what's theirs. Yeah. Snow's just happens to be control and power over like 12 districts of people.
You could probably kill me if you wanted to.
But he's also like, you won't because you're smart.
Yeah.
But he's also like, I kind of have you in the palm of my hand because I got this footage of you kissing Gale earlier.
And we
bitchy little Gale.
And that's a bad thing because everybody in the world believes that Peter and Katniss are a thing.
Are together.
And also, they believe that there's a baby on the way.
Yes, which, well, that is brought up initially. That's brought up later on, actually, yeah. Because my favorite line of the movies in this scene is where Snow's talking about why the Capitol works and how the system works. And Katniss is like, yeah, your fragile system was brought down by a handful of berries. And I'm like, fucking right it was. Like, she's so
good.
And then basically now that they're victors, they have to do this massive fucking tour and all these shows. They do this like massive Capitol show and they have to do a tour of all the districts. And they do like a live crossover to the Capitol where Katniss and Peter kiss, and then Peter's like, great acting. I almost thought the kiss was real. And I'm like, come on, Peter. This movie is simp central. And like, I get it. It's Jennifer Lawrence. She's hot. She's fiery. She's incredible personality too.
She's had it. I was like, she has a massive glow up from like the little District 12
Little,
girls.
so like, I've just won the Hunger Games.
Yeah, but then it's kind of just like that thing of like, slap some makeup on her.
She's got that hot girl energy from winning the Hunger Games.
Yeah, she's like, I'm a victor, so.
So I get the simping, but like, I don't want to watch it. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather do the simping. I don't want to watch Gail and Peter.
I want to be the simp.
I don't want Gail and Peter to do that shit. But like, they realize on this tour that they kind of have to actually become friends because they have to like go through all this together. And Peter's like, fine, friend zoned, I guess, whatever. But they go to District 11 first. And it's just fucking downtrodden. The military presence is even stronger in there now because it's kind of like they're making an example of District 11.
Yeah.
And
how would that feel? You guys be like, we're above District 12 and yet we're feeling worse.
Worse off, right? But also, that happens to be the district where Rue's family is. Mm-hmm. And they have to, Katniss and Peter have to get up, Penis have to get up and do this. have to get up and do this speech that's written by Effie about, you know, why it's such an honor to be the victors and shit. And obviously, they see Rue's picture up with a family standing in front, and then Peter goes off script, which freaks Effie out because she's like PR control. And he donates part of his winnings that he will get every year to Rue's family, which is such a nice thing to do. But then Katniss comes in and I can't remember what she says, but she gets a reaction from the crowd where the one man, the old, he looked blind for some reason, but he wasn't, but did the 3-finger salute for the Mockingjay. Completely forgot to bring up Mockingjay is significant because Prim gives Katniss a Mockingjay pin, and Katniss, then that turns
Katniss
into
gives it to Prim first because she's like,
that's right.
Because she's like,
you keep this,
nothing will happen, bad will happen to
you.
And
then bang, it did.
And then she's like, so you know what? The thing that you said wouldn't be bad for me, I'll just give it to you.
I'll give it back to you. Bad luck. Have fun in the Hunger Games. Yeah. But then Cinna turns that into like her personality. She becomes the Mockingjay.
And then the Mockingjay is the bird that like when you say something, it'll repeat it. So that's why when they
exactly,
like So her and Rue are like
great.
Where her and Rue are like, we know each other is safe
it's
if we
doing,
hear, you know.
We
so
hear the
like,
do.
Like, is that a Mockingjay?
But the old man does the salute and he's executed in front of, which is the first point in the movie where I was like, oh shit, this is like the political thriller that I kind of like.
Yeah.
Would have loved the first movie to be more about. But I also understand with the first book in the movie, like I get that like it's more just setting the foundations for like the Hunger Games as an event. And then it's the backlash of the uprising. And that's what I'm more into. Like the political unrest and like the thriller aspect of it, which is predominantly shown through like Katniss's and Snow's relationship, is what I think holds these movies together. Like even the later ones, which aren't that great, it's all about Snow and Katniss for me.
Yeah.
But they execute this old man, which is fucking dreadful. But Katniss realizes
he didn't see it coming, so it's okay.
But Katniss realizes that at that point, like people are going to die if she doesn't like kind of play the game.
I was like, yeah, maybe just reel it in a little bit. No, don't be such a defiant bitch, man.
They fucking reel it in, right? They reel it in by announcing they're going to get married.
Yeah. Peter's like, fuck, I can ride this one. So
So like and everyone's like, oh my God, they're getting married. This is beautiful.
So like we can't put them in any danger now.
No. But someone can.
Yeah.
And his name's Plutarch.
Yeah.
Philip Seymour Hoffman, rest in peace.
Yeah.
Fucking one of the greatest actors to ever fucking do it. Sad that he left this world, unfortunately, in very unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
But he's the new game maker because it is very heavily alluded to that the last game maker was killed. Crane is dead. We don't know how, but it's alluded to the fact that a bowl of poison berries was left in his room. So they're at this like other capital party. That's when they meet Plutarch, Katniss and Peter Penis meet up Plutarch for the first time. Snow starts delivering this speech and he starts like coughing up blood. That's a cool shot where he's drinking and he coughs and like turns the blood, like the wine into blood.
So you're also just like, your time is limited.
So very limited. What could happen here? But the whole idea is that Snow wants to use Plutarch to turn. Well, sorry, it's actually Plutarch's idea to turn Katniss on the people. Like to take this Mockingjay symbol and turn her into something they will hate.
Yeah.
And completely change her image.
Yeah.
So
publicly villainize her.
The Capitol invade District 12, and Gale is whipped for tackling a guard.
Yeah,
which is another brutal fuck.
Publicly whipped.
Yeah, for doing that. And
that's when you're just like, I don't like you, Gale, but you don't deserve this. So.
No, because he was trying to protect his people.
Yeah.
He's still a little bitch boy though.
He's trying to protect his other brothers.
But Katniss gets involved again and then forces Peter to get involved to be like, you're not going to kill 2 victors, are you? And then Haymitch has to get involved and it's like, you're not going to kill 2, 3 victors now, are you?
Haymitch is like, I want to drink. I've got to put my bottle down.
Haymitch is looking at one guy. Was like, why is there 7 guns pointed at me?
He's like, I don't like this at all.
So the idea is thrown around that for the 75th Hunger Games.
Yeah, this is such a
It's
cop out.
Such a President Snow move is what I'm going to call it.
Well, I know that I can't have anything happen to Katniss because like they're victors. So once you're a victor, you don't have to go.
You don't have to go back to the Hunger Games.
So he's like, you know what? We'll do tournament champion match. Essentially,
bring back the victors.
Yeah.
Bring back victors from previous Hunger Games, which of course pisses off the previous victors.
Because they're just like, we've already done this.
It's so fucked. Haymitch gets picked.
Yeah.
And so I would have loved to have seen a Woody Harrelson in the fucking Hunger Games, but then Peter's like, I volunteer as tribute. He's like, no, that's one copycat. So Katniss and Peter are returning to the Hunger Games and they start meeting some of the other victors, which include Sam Claflin. Young Sam Claflin.
Beautiful little man.
Jenna Malone.
Who
is brilliant in this film.
Yeah. Joanna, she's...
District 7.
Yep.
I love her entrance into the film. She meets Haymitch, Peter, and Katniss in the elevator, strips down out of her dress because she hates it and hates how uncomfortable it is.
Yeah.
And that's just her introduction to the film. And of course, Haymitch is like looking up and down, just being like giggling about it, like classic Haymitch.
And Alan Richson. Before he was completely jacked.
Before he was Reacher jacked.
Yeah, he's still jacked in this, but he's
still big, but like he's not like Reacher jacked.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright.
Yeah.
Who I love, and I forgot the actress' name, and I'm going to hate myself for it. Plays Honey Bunny.
She's I know her name. Because she plays the. She's in Sex and.
She's in Sex and the City.
Plays Magda in Sex and the City.
She's in Sex and the City, is she?
Oh, what's her name?
Amanda Plummer.
Oh, that's not who I was thinking of. Sorry.
Oh, I was thinking of Amanda Plummer because
I was thinking of the really old woman.
Yes. I'm thinking of Amanda Plummer because, she's in Pulp Fiction. She's in the opening scene with Tim Roth.
I'm thinking of...
Mags. Lynn Cohen.
That's who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Oh, bless. Oh, and she passed away in 2020.
Oh.
Bless her. 86, though. What a knock.
Had a good innings.
Solid knock. Yeah, she's in heaps of stuff.
She's done a lot.
We love her.
Yeah.
But I absolutely stacked cast again.
Yeah.
This time round. And then we get another training montage. This time they've upped the budget there as well. They get to train against holograms.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool. Again, CGI not so great for 2013, but that's okay.
It's weird. In some cases it looks really good, and then other cases you're like a bit rushed.
It doesn't look great.
Yeah.
But where we see more of the victors' reaction to not just being picked into the Hunger Games again, but also their feelings towards the Capitol is the individual assessments again, which is obviously where Katniss got her 11 the first time.
Yeah.
And she goes in after Mags. And Mags' talent is art and painting. And she paints a mural of Rue on the floor. And then Katniss is the last to be individually assessed, and she comes in, she sees the painting of Rue on the floor, and obviously it makes her emotional. And then everyone's watching because we know what she did last year.
Yeah.
And in an act of political defiance, again, she gets one of like the mannequin dummy things, gets some of Mags's paint, and writes Seneca Crane on there. And Plutarch is just there smiling. He's got like a grin on his face, like, oh, this is like...
He's like, I like her.
I like her a lot.
You got gumption, kid.
You got a bit of that something. Then we get the big show again, the big Capitol show with, again, our favorite Caesar Flickerman, who we didn't touch him on enough, but Stanley Tucci owns this role.
Oh, he's having a bloody
He
ball.
plays this fucking role within an inch of his life.
Yeah.
Like, he is giving so much to this character. I fucking love him.
He's like, I know what I have to do.
Hey, I'm going to ham that shit up,
Also,
baby.
I know that this is completely unrelated, but I love that he is the brother-in-law of Emily Blunt.
Just in real life, yeah.
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 I love that.
It's cool, isn't it?
It's cool.
Hey?
Like, can you imagine John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci just hanging out at dinner? That'd be fucking cool.
It'd be very cool. I'm sure they'd have a lot of fun stories.
Yeah.
Imagine just John Krasinski would be the one in there being like, why am I here? I love John Krasinski, don't get me wrong, but he'd be like that's Stanley Tucci and Emily Blunt, and Emily Blunt's my wife.
And he's like, somehow I managed to get Emily Blunt, but then Emily Blunt's like, yeah, because I'm a decent human and I, go for, but John Krasinski's hot anyway.
I love John Krasinski.
But Emily Blunt, man, fuck, so good. Anyway, that's just my little
So
thing.
for the
I
big
just love that.
Capital show, they put Katniss in the wedding dress.
Yes.
Which then turns into, again, due to the work of Cinna, played by Lenny Kravitz,
Sexy
into
Kravitz.
a Mockingjay.
Yeah.
If you didn't think there was enough political defiance happening on Snow would be coughing up so much blood right now.
So she like walks out in a wedding dress and everyone's like, oh my
Wow,
God.
the wedding.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't have the wedding because of the Hunger Games. And she's like, I wanted to show it all to you.
And then it's like,
and then
hey.
all those dumb Capital fucks like, oh.
And she's like, nah, get a load of this. Starts doing a little twirl. Fire down the bottom. And you sort of think, all right, cool little effect. Fire. Nah, whole dress.
Hunger Games.
Turns into
Mockingjay.
Yeah. And she's just like, what do you think now?
But then Peter comes out.
Yeah, he does.
And he's like, hey guys, we actually secretly got married. Everyone's like, oh, and Katniss is pregnant. And everyone's like, what the fuck? You're about to send a pregnant lady into the Hunger Games?
And even Katniss is a bit like, what the fuck?
Katniss is what the fuck. The only person who's like great is Haymitch. He's just like, that's great.
He's just like, you kids, you know how to play this PR
You
game.
are playing this PR game so fucking well. But again, it's almost, that's like Peter's contribution to the political unrest, to be like, yes, he knows it would work because people would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you've sent.
How dare you put a pregnant woman in there?
So the uprising's coming, baby. It's bubbling. She's boiling. It's on the surface.
But also, it doesn't matter. People are like, yeah, okay. Like President Snow, like, they're still going in.
Still going in.
Yeah, I don't mind.
He's
being
like,
hated.
we're getting the 75th Hunger Games this year, baby.
Yeah.
And then they prep themselves to go up to the Hunger Games, and the last person that Katniss sees before she goes up is Cinna. Who
this was sad when I first saw it.
This was sad. This also to me seems like obvious, and it's obvious, but like this is a deliberate act from President Snow.
100%. Yeah.
Which shows me how cunty he is and how much I love his character.
She's like,
I don't condone what he does, but like it's actually a well-written character.
So it's like the last person you see, naturally you sort of think you're like a calming presence. You're someone I love. You've taken care of me.
100%.
So before I go out into this fucking world,
This hellhole.
I have a little bit of just like centered peace. And as she's about to go up,
she's enclosed into a tube.
Guards come
And they
knock the shit out of
we
Cinna.
see Cinna getting bashed up. So we don't know at this point whether he's dead or not.
He just gets dragged away. She's just watching him get
Screaming
dragged
for
away.
Cinna.
And as she's screaming, she's getting lifted up.
Into the Hunger Games.
Goes out into Hunger Games.
Now,
and this
I want to say this shot.
Yeah.
So I watched this on a 4K disc.
Right.
And everyone, if you've listened to previous episodes of the show, you know I'm a fucking fan of this.
Yeah.
It goes into the IMAX aspect ratio as she's going up, and it is fucking sick. Because then the second half of the film is in the IMAX.
I've got Hunger Games and Catching Fire on Blu-ray.
Does the Blu-ray do it as well?
And I have Mockingjay 1 and 2 on 4K. I'm going to upgrade them all.
Because they're great looking movies.
Oh, it's stunning.
The
looking
4K
films.
transfers are great, but that aspect ratio change to IMAX as the camera's turning around her, she's screaming for Cinna, and then she gets so fucking angry so quick. And the difference with this Hunger Games is that it's basically a water start. They have these little jetty sort of walkways to the center, but there's waves crashing and shit.
And it's like, obviously, it's
chaotic.
It can all be easily manipulated by everyone.
By the old game maker.
And then as she finds out, it's like, that shot, it's like, it's essentially a clock.
Yes.
The way that it's all.
Well, they figure that out eventually,
But that shot of her going up, and then you just see the water, and you see like you're just like, fuck,
it's so good.
It's epic.
It's so fucking good.
Yeah.
And then we get a hectic fucking Hunger Games. There's poison gas, monkey attacks. They turn on like tsunami waves, basically. it's really fucking hectic. They also discover that there's an electric fence surrounding, or like an invisible electric fence, which makes them realize, oh, we're not like in an open area where we are in we're in an arena, I guess you could say.
Which then plays into something that Katniss does later on. Because she's like, I'm aware that I'm not in an open space.
Because Peter gets electrocuted by the fence and he's dead.
Yeah.
And then Sam Claflin brings him back to life with the CPR because they're about to announce, they're like literally about to be like, yeah, Peter's dead.
He's dead.
And then he comes back from the dead. But then they come up with people like Katniss and Peter have teamed up with District 11, which is Sam Claflin's character, and Mags. They've also teamed up with Jeffrey Wright and Amanda Plummer's characters to create an alliance to stay together because... I think it was previously announced that like 50% of the tributes wanted to ally with Katniss.
Because they're
so she had everyone in her corner.
Yeah.
And
they probably also think like, well, if I'm allied with these people and I'm not going to do anything to them and they're not going to do anything to me, maybe we can all get to the end and be like, hey, we're not going to kill it. We're all not going to kill each other, or we'll sacrifice ourselves
to do it. Yeah. So together they come up with a plan where they're going to get an electric wire that's going to go down. So they figure out that at midnight every night, lightning strikes and changes the clock, which is where like the next fucking poison gas monkey attack, whatever, will come from. So they go, let's get a cable that's going to go to this tree here and we'll get everyone that we don't like to this tree and we'll electrocute and blow them up, basically. I was like, that's a cool fucking plan.
Yeah.
How good is that? Like, they're like, let's just lure everyone in and blow them the fuck up with electricity. So... they all have like their separate little missions they go on for like the second half of the film to get that done. And there's like, not all of it goes to plan. And then you think like Sam Claflin, Katniss hears the cannon go off and then she like, Sam Claflin's like there and you kind of like, did he kill Peter? We don't know. So there's like all this like random betrayal shit. And it ultimately leads to the lightning's about to come. There's the rope attached to something, and Katniss's only chance or opportunity is to actually shoot the wired arrow to the top and blow it up.
Yeah.
And it succeeds.
Because they assume like that the sky that they see is not infinite. Like they know that
there's a roof. They know that there's a roof.
At some point it has to hit something,
right?
So so that hits and that then basically
blows the roof up,
malfunctions the roof and it caves in and then it's just like
breaks the game.
And now Snow's just like, for fuck's sake, this girl.
Who happens to be there but Haymitch and their little ragtag gang who managed to get Katniss out of the Hunger Games and take her to a new district, District 13, the Rebellion District.
Where we also realise that Cinna is not dead.
That's where we do find out Cinna is now dead. It's very unfortunate and it's very sad. But it was kind of like, that's like Katniss's like next, like, okay, it's time to take them all down. However, it's also revealed, because Katniss is like basically knocked unconscious. She wakes up and she sees Sam Claflin there and shit and Jeffrey Wright. And she basically finds out that this was the plan, the plan of the tributes and the victors all along to start this new district and use Katniss as the symbol for that to get all the other districts on board.
Yeah.
But Peter and Joanna are captured and taken to the Capitol. And we find out that they're being held hostage now by President Snow. And we also find out that District 12 has been destroyed because of Katniss's inability to follow the Capitol guidelines. Her defiance against President Snow. And the last shot is a close-up of her angry face, ready to go and fucking storm some shit.
Yeah.
Which leads us to...
oh my God, she's literally going to storm the Capitol.
It's January 6th somewhere, baby. Which leads us to...
Mockingjay.
Mockingjay, which is one book, two films.
Which director Francis Lawrence has come out and said that he regrets doing two films.
I think that's a good regret to have because two and a bit hours. So, okay, not in fairness, but Mockingjay Part 1 is 2 hours, 3 minutes. Part 2 is 2 hours, 17 minutes.
It's 4 hours and 20 minutes.
4:20, baby.
For a movie that didn't need to be.
It's a 3 hour max story.
Yeah.
Told in 4 hours and 20 minutes, ultimately.
A lot of Part 1 could have been.
It's, to me, has the same issue as Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Oh,
it
definitely
kind of
Hallows Part,
leads to
definitely
nowhere.
Hallows Part 1 frustrated me because I was like, all you kids are doing is camping on a rock.
Yeah, like ultimately, right?
All
Like,
they're doing. And I know that there's more to it than that.
however,
but Mockingjay Part 1 really did test me.
I was going to say, before we break them down, what do you prefer, part 1 or part 2?
Part 2.
Interesting. I'm a part 1 man. But I'm only a part 1 man this time around because I initially did not like part 1 at all, which currently 70% critic score, 71%. I do believe that is the lowest. It's the equal lowest critic rated.
And 70% to be your lowest is still really good.
It's still very good. And a lot of people did love this movie, right?
Like, I don't hate part 1.
Okay, yeah.
It's just a case of
It's a part 1.
It's a part 1. And
yeah.
it's like they've clearly saved all of the exciting things for part 2.
For part 2.
So I like, obviously, the acting's great, the casting's great.
Yeah.
Like, I like that it's got this very dark, like, atmosphere. It's leading into a lot of the political stuff. But
Totally,
I was
yes.
like, eventually, you just like, you need a little bit of a reprieve from all of that. And this film doesn't really
give you
offer
any of that because it's actually just trying to expand its story.
It's
at
a
the
political
same time.
drama.
It
after
is.
giving you 2 action movies, essentially.
Like ultimately, right?
So you kind of, and especially after Catching Fire,
After Catching Fire, which
you're
is
like-
such a fucking banger. of
you're
a
like,
film.
all right. And then because it slows down,
A
you
lot.
really notice it, which is why part 2, I just
You
like it
prefer
better
it
because
because
you're
it's
like,
got-
there's a little bit more to it.
a little bit more action to it too.
Yeah.
In a quick summary, Katniss Everdeen is in District 13 after she shatters the games forever. Under the leadership of President Coin and the advice of her trusted friends, Katniss spreads her wings as she fights to save Peter and a nation moved by her courage. President Coin, who we will say, is played by Julianne Moore,
Julianne Moore.
who's great in this film. And then we also get Boggs, who's basically like the new Sinner, I guess, played by Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Great casting. Great
cast,
casting.
yeah.
But the movie kind of starts like Katniss is having fucking nightmares about everything.
Which is understandable.
Finnick is like struggling with the guilt that Peter and Joanna got like caught by the Capitol because like his idea was like to get everyone who was in on the plan out. It's just a really depressing and dour start. This film is just quite fucking down. Katniss is taken then to the destroyed District 12 and she's kind of like fucking like, is this because of me? And she's kind of like racked with that guilt. But at this point, they also see Peter on Capitol TV being interviewed by the one and only Carl Stefanovic, Caesar Flickerman.
Stanley Tucci.
And he's like denouncing the rebellion. He's like, guys, don't do this. Like, we don't want you to fight the Capitol. We can all work together. But he's starting to look a little sick, I guess you could say. He's not looking like the Peter we know and love. Or
a little bit,
the simp. He's not simp Peter.
A little bit puppety.
A bit puppety, a bit gaunt.
Yeah.
A little bit dead in the eyes.
A little bit robotic.
But the biggest like conflict I think for the start of this movie is that like Katniss is she's like too good, whereas like Plutarch is chaotic good.
Yeah.
And he's like, to get what we need, people need to die. And Katniss is like, I'm fucking over people dying. And Plutarch's like, yeah, we've gotten this far. Like a couple more souls ain't gonna hurt anyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's a bit chaotic about it as well.
Yeah. Like you've already done this much damage. Like what's 100?
What's 1,000, 1 million dead more people? So the idea is to pretty much make these like district propaganda films similar to what the Capitol did, and send Katniss on a world tour to make all these like videos in all these different dilapidated districts.
Yeah.
To be like, look how shit this life is. Do you know what would help? Kill the Capitol. So like, that's kind of
all it makes me think of is have you seen Hot Shots 2?
Yes.
When Miguel Ferreira goes, war. It's fantastic.
That's like literally pretty much it, right? They're like, the only way we can stop all this famine and destruction is with more destruction.
Yeah.
This Saturday night at the Raceway, monster trucks. Katniss Everdeen killing President Snow.
Katniss Everdeen.
That would have been way more effective. Not these like, I'm standing here in District 12, my bombed hometown. I would have much rather like, do you like fireworks and explosions? Like that's what I would have rather.
Do you want to see someone get their head ripped right off? Yes, I do.
I mean, Plutarch, we're right here, bro. We're right here. But then we also get the addition of Natalie Dormer of Game of Thrones fame, who is kind of like the PR of this new film crew that's going around and filming Katniss. So their first stop on the tour is District 8, and they see a hospital. They go to this like survivors refuge hospital because District 8 is being like, pretty much all the districts are getting overrun by the capital now.
Yeah. There's no like good district at this point.
There's no good district. But Snow gets word that Katniss is there, and they send jets to bomb the hospital while she's there. And in an attempt to, Snow's basically over it now. He's like, I'm just gonna fucking kill Katniss.
He's like, wherever you are, I will find you,
and I will kill you. And there's a massive.
But at the same time, we're like, well, we know there's a part 2, so we know there's not.
We know, right? Yeah, it's just like this 2-hour epilogue of like life after the Hunger Games, which by the last scene of part 2, didn't want to see that. And there's like a shootout on the ground, and then obviously these jets, and they bomb the hospital. And then Katniss is like, fuck me, more people dead because of what I'm doing. But she also...
and then Plutarch's just like, I told you.
I was like, that's what the people want. But like, in a really fucking baller way, she like arrows down a jet. And like, I'm like, it's pretty cool. It makes for some cool action in there. But
that's
then...
when she's the other character besides like Hawkeye that proves like bow and arrows can be cool, essentially.
Pretty much, actually. Yeah.
She's cooler than Hawkeye.
Oh, I would agree.
Yeah.
A lot more character development. District 7 gets attacked by Capitol soldiers. We see some more gaunt-looking Peter, and you can tell by this point he's getting like brainwashed.
Yeah.
I'm like, he's drinking the Kool-Aid, the Capital Kool-Aid, I guess, to say. So after realizing all this, like Katniss is like, I can't just gotta go home for a minute, even though my home is destroyed.
She's like, I need to chill the fuck out.
So she goes back to District 12, and they get footage of her singing The Hanging Tree.
Yeah.
Which Jennifer Lawrence, good voice.
Oh, that's the other one, isn't
it?
No,
that's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Oh, the other one I'm thinking is the deep in the yeah. Are you coming to... You know what they did? They remixed it, and it became like a top 10 hit. And, and the remix, banger of a song.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
The Katniss mix, right? Yeah. Plutarch's just sitting in his fucking little...
Yeah.
He's like, when I'm not game making, I'm in the fucking DJ
Yeah, like
booth.
it's on... If you type in Jennifer Lawrence on Spotify...
And they've actually...
And she's got a song. And
there we go.
And it's The Hanging Tree. And it's like this really cool, like...
It's actually got a beat to it, right?
It's like sit-dance synth remix. It's really cool.
Well, there we fucking go.
Yeah. Eat your heart out, Rachel Zegler. You're not the only one that can sing.
But they pretty much use that as like to unite the people and to be like, Katniss is just one of us, man. She's a singer.
You'd be like, nothing unites people more than like the most depressing song there is.
So they go, there's an attack at dawn, civilians massacred.
It's the best time to attack people.
But they also managed to black out the Capitol.
Yes.
So even though loads of civilians are getting fucking gunned down, they've stormed the Capitol. Allegedly. And they managed to black out the entire city, which works out well. But during this time, Peter sees a clip of Katniss and he starts like getting his fucking memory back a little bit. And he's like, oh, Katniss.
He's like, oh my God, I was married to you.
And then he goes, because they don't let Katniss go to the Capitol attack because they're like, we need the Mockingjay to be alive. You are the symbol. Yeah. You're not the fighter.
Yeah.
Which is obviously much to her. She detests that quite a lot.
Much to her chagrin.
But once Peter sees the clip and gets a little bit back, he goes, they're going to attack District 13.
Yeah.
Like he's like, they're about to bomb District 13. And after the blackout attack is successful, they luckily fucking escape, but then District 13 is bombed and they kind of just go like, rather than attacking, get everyone down into the shelters, like we'll take the damage because we can't let them know kind of where we are. Like we would rather than like just bomb randomly than a targeted attack, and it kind of works out. But in the cuntiest of cunty moves and peak President Snow, he drops white roses all over. Do you know what the flower is that he drops? It's not a rose, actually. Well, it is technically a rose. He drops primroses. That motherfucker Dude, President Snow's the best. He's such an asshole,
done his research and he was like, I know how much this will hurt you.
Taunting her. He's taunting Katniss.
But like all I could think of with the dropping roses is like the thing from like the Wizard of Oz when it's like,
oh yeah, true.
And then they all just fall asleep. Yeah.
Good night.
Bit a bit asbestos-y.
Then while the power outage is happening, Gale leads a team into.
He finally does something.
He
Mockingjay
volunteered.
Finally volunteered. Mockingjay finally is like, hey, we've had Liam Hemsworth in 2 movies.
Let's get him to do some
action
shit.
So let's get him to do something.
Get him to do some action shit, which he does.
Because they're probably like, your brother's really showing you up at this point.
I mean, he is Thor.
Yeah. You know Liam Hemsworth auditioned to be Thor?
I do know that, actually, yeah.
Like,
imagine losing out to your...
How bad is that? You're like...
Yeah, you lose out to your...
I couldn't see him.
I can't see him being Thor. No, that's a Chris role.
Yeah.
So they go on a rescue mission to get Peter while the Capitol blackout's happening.
You know that,
Gale leads the team.
You know that stings Gale. But he's
but he volunteered.
I mean, he volunteers, but he's also, I reckon he volunteers because he's like, you know
Simp.
what? He's like, if I volunteer, Katniss will see it.
Katniss will give me a kiss.
And I know that she doesn't like Peter. She likes me.
He's such a fucking simp, dude.
So
he's such a little bitch boy.
Yeah.
He's a bitch boy.
But he knows he's
knows. Playing the game.
He's playing the long game.
He's playing
like,
the game of love,
yeah, he's
baby.
like, I'm just gonna be your best friend.
And to distract. Oh, I will say this. Because he's in the Victor Center in the Capitol, and they dim it all out with these like red lights, and it looks fucking cool. I just wrote that down because I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
But to distract while the infiltration's happening, Katniss is on a live chat with Snow, and they're just bantering back and forth, just bitching me. Like Snow's like, "Come on, let's just end this all." Katniss like, "I'm not going to end it." He's like, "That's what I wanted you to say."
The sexual tension is ripe.
Oh man, could you imagine just at the end of this movie they just fuck? Katniss and Snow just fuck. And then Peter's sitting there, he's like, "Oh, I got nothing." Then Gale's hand comes like across over his chest.
And he's like,
it's like,
we can be together.
I didn't see what was in front of me all along.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
But they get Peter, and despite Snow knowing about the infiltration attack, they're kind of just let out of the Capitol. Like they're kind of concerned. They're like, we don't know why. Like people knew we were there. We got into a fight. Why did they just let us out?
Yeah, there's always a reason.
Always a fucking reason.
Snow's not dumb.
So they bring Peter back to District 13. And what I think is, I remember watching this in the cinema, caught me off guard, great jump scare, is Katniss walks into Peter and he fucking lunges at her and starts to strangle her.
Yeah, that's freaked the fuck out of everybody when I saw it.
And they pretty much boil it down to these real words. There's like, his brain has been hijacked.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
He's got space dementia.
It's not the. It's. I mean, it's
technically true.
It's just not the greatest.
It's not the greatest way to explain it.
I mean, what would be another sentence for it? His brain has been.
He's got space dementia.
They could be like they've infiltrated his psyche. How good is that?
Or if you have a mullet, his brain got hijacked.
Yeah.
Storm the Capitol, they hijacked his brain.
Boy, your brain broke.
Your brain got hijacked. So, Coin announces that there's going to be an attack on District 2 that she is leading because that is where the new military base
and
for
you just know
the
all these
Capitol
higher
is.
up districts are like, but we haven't done anything.
And they're like, what the fuck,
they're
man?
Like, we're like sort of rich.
Yeah. But then they're just caught in the middle, I guess.
Yeah.
And the last shot we see is Katniss walking towards the room where they're holding Peter, and he's like skitzing out basically. And that's the final shot of Mockingjay Part 1, the political thriller.
I do remember that final shot. It was like, and when it sort of faded to black, it was like, get fucked.
Yeah, because it felt like that's like not where I wanted it to end.
I know that there's a part 2, and I know that you should end on something to really want us to give a part 2, but you can't. You can't end on that.
It's funny you say that because to get Peter into that bed, he's hit over the head by Boggs, right?
Yeah.
When they hit Peter over the head, that was initially where it was going to end.
Yeah.
Where he was going to hit him, then it was going to be like directed by Francis Lawrence, and you kind of go like that. I feel like that would have been more jarring. I feel like at least him on the bed, like we know where we're at.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of a bit more of a wrap up, but still, there's no good point from this part to end this because that to me is like the end of the second act.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like this, and then all
it does feel like if if you were watching a play, that's when like the curtains would be and we'd be like
Yeah, but
intermission.
Intermission, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Ow, fuck.
That's okay.
I just
Did you just kick your toe?
kicked the back of my foot.
Oh, the Achilles heel.
On my bone.
Speaking of Achilles heels, this has nothing to do with what I'm about to talk about.
I was like, where's that going?
There's no segues here,
Speaking
man.
of Achilles heel, mine is Mockingjay Part. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense.
Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2.
Love that fucking poster, by the way.
The poster's great. Do you know she doesn't wear that outfit at all?
Yeah.
Interesting. But
They knew
great poster.
They knew how to fucking market it.
Great poster. Katniss and a team of rebels from District 13 prepare for the final battle that will decide the fate of
Panam.
every single time.
Every time, baby.
70% as well on critic score for Rotten Tomatoes. Lowest score in the franchise at 66%.
Yeah.
Now, this is to me is the worst Hunger Games movie. You big no bingo. But you would say Mockingjay Part 1 is the worst?
The
Worst. Okay, sorry.
That's a harsh wording.
Sorry.
I think it's yes, I think it's the worst
It's
film.
the fucking worst one.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Part 2 is rated lower.
Okay. Right.
But
it's also the lowest box office as well.
But I think
people were a little bit
we were
burned by Part 1,
yeah,
right?
we were starting to get, it was kind of like the way that we're seeing like Marvel fatigue now.
Totally.
We were getting a bit fatigued, not just with Hunger Games, but with just like
The
those
young adult.
because apart from Hunger Games and Twilight, all of the other movies were like flopping.
They were, right? Yeah, they totally were, yeah.
Mortal Instruments fucking tanked.
Oh my God, Mortal Instruments.
Beautiful Creatures went down like a fucking
Yeah, they
lead
all
balloon.
fucking, that's I forgot they even
There was
existed.
another one. Mortal Bones? No.
City of Bones.
City
That's
of
Mortal
Bones.
Instruments, City of Bones.
Yeah, that was bad.
There was one that was a couple of years ago that was...
the
Divergent
Divergent series.
Divergent
started off good, and then it just petered off, and they didn't even make the
didn't
final
make their
movie.
last movie.
That hurts because I actually...
I only saw Divergent. I didn't watch the rest of them. Maze Runner.
Yeah,
I liked the last Maze Runner.
I liked the first Maze Runner.
Yeah, I can't remember if I liked the second one though.
I think the second one kind of just blurred into being just like a movie that I saw that I don't remember.
Yeah,
at all.
true.
Yeah.
So like the combined budget for these two movies was about 300 million, and then this one made 650. So it wasn't
It wasn't a flop.
it wasn't a bomb. It didn't, but it's the lowest grossing, lowest
yeah.
opening weekend, and lowest worldwide.
Oh
gross.
no! Did Hunger Games the first one make higher than that?
Yeah, it made 150. Remember?
Oh, I did too.
150, 150, and then
102,
whatever.
and like it's pretty bad when you're just like, $102 million. How awful. There's another one, Fantastic Beasts. That just fucking
Fantastic
died in the
Beasts.
ass.
Yeah,
Maze Runner.
I feel like we were one of the only two people in the world who didn't mind Crimes.
I really like the last
Book of
one.
Dumbledore or some shit.
Dumbledore's book of Dumbledore.
Secrets of Dumbledore.
Secrets of Dumbledore.
The Book of Dumbledore.
The Secret Book of Dumbledore.
But yes, Mockingjay Part 2 to wrap up the Hunger Games franchise. To me, is the weakest, I guess is the nice way for me, of the franchise. I think it is... This to me is like, yes, you could cut down a little bit of Mockingjay Part 1 for sure. There's definitely like, you don't have to put all those district visits in there. You get the point. But this to me is like a 2 hour, 20-minute movie that's like a 45-minute to an hour movie.
They should have made...
This one was dragged.
They should have made
one big 3
Mockingjay at least like maybe like a 2 hour 50 like
2:45 to 3
make it 3 hours, but you could have wrapped this up.
I agree, but Katniss can't talk because she almost got strangled to death. But they use, because they're like, Peter's like becoming himself again, and they use Prim as the test to go like visit, and he's like, he's fine with Prim. But he then fucking snaps at Katniss again and is basically like, you have to kill her. So he's been brainwashed by the Capitol. But part of me also thinks like the Capitol probably being like, Katniss did this and that led to this many people dying. And Katniss he's probably like, holy shit, I'm actually fearful of her, right?
Killed that many people, and you're like, well, not technically, but
not technically, no.
Indirectly, sure.
Gale and Katniss are starting to grow apart. Finally.
I mean,
simp.
They weren't really together.
No, I mean, it was definitely like Gale's pursuit of her, for sure. Yeah. But we also get to District 2 where Gwendolyn Christie now joins the cast.
That's right, Gwendolyn Christie.
Insane. And Katniss is revving them up to storm the Capitol once again. Then we get another addition, Robert Knepper, who you might know as He's in Prison Break.
Yeah.
He's like the gangly sort of like.
It was disgusting in
Prison Break.
And I mean that in the night, like in the best
he's
way
so
possible.
good at it. He's a brilliant actor.
He's so good at playing people that you just like, you deserve to die.
You gross me
out.
He's fucking great in the film, and he's not even top listed, which is fair because
I was like
he's
Eldon Hansen.
That's right, because he's he's mute. He doesn't talk.
Who also, is it true that he's in Killers of the Flower Moon and doesn't say anything?
Doesn't say a single word.
That's fucked.
But you only see him in like 2 scenes.
You feel like that he was.
He's Anna Paquin.
He's got to be on the cutting room floor. Surely.
I would. I mean, I don't know how much more of that movie exists,
but like, it feels weird to cast someone like that.
Yes,
who's like not massively famous.
He's not a big character in the film.
But like, it seems weird to give him like to be like a glorified extra. That seems a bit strange.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Yeah.
Robert Nepper is killed in his scene, like straight away. So I'm like, well, thanks for coming and going.
Yeah.
Jenna Malone is also, who we should have mentioned, was rescued as well with Peter from the Capitol.
Yeah.
So she comes into Katniss, make sure they're all good. Katniss tries to go and see Peter Penis again, and he basically is like, I should have given the bread that day to the pigs. So he like hates Katniss,
and that's like rough.
That's rough
because he just like, you'd rather see pigs live over me, like, and you'd be like, mate, if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for me,
you'd be dead.
You'd be dead.
You'd be dead. Thank me, bitch.
Yeah, but no, fine.
But also, if Peter didn't give Katniss the bread, would she be alive?
Ooh,
I'm here for my boy Peter. Penis.
All right, simp lover.
Just a couple of simp boys. Coin is really cautious at this point in time of like a rogue Katniss. Of Katniss being like, I don't really fucking care anymore. I just don't want people to die. Like, she's like, Snow just needs to die.
Yeah, like, let's just kill Snow.
Whereas Coin is kind of like, I want this to be a big political message. Like, she's basically gunning to be the next Snow.
Yeah.
But she doesn't see that she is also getting compromised by her own love of the power, which is obviously what happened to Snow.
It'll be really.
Coin wants more control of her.
It'll be very interesting to see if they, like how nice they make Snow in this one. Because you kind of just like, because if you're like, we know what your character becomes, so will it make it like worse or better to be like, well, I don't care how many nice things you do in this movie, because clearly
you're not a nice
something
person.
tells me that it's Rachel. Like, I feel like Rachel Ziegler, maybe I feel like maybe she dies, and maybe that's what like
sets him off.
Because this is the first Hunger Games, isn't it? 10th. Okay.
And he invented the Hunger Games, didn't he? I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, but I feel like she's maybe a catalyst for him, like becoming the sort of very strict like warmonger that he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's a good point, actually.
Because it seems to be playing up like a romance between them.
That's what I thought like the biggest aspect of the trailer was,
so
which is like, I have seen the trailer for Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I usually don't watch trailers for movies I'm super keen for.
This is just one of those
like this
movies.
one just kind of popped up and I was like, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But basically, Coin and Plutarch and the gang are like also worth pointing out. Bringing up Plutarch, like he is in Mockingjay Part 1, but they filmed these movies back to back.
So at this point, Philip C. Hoffman had passed away by the time Mockingjay Part 2 came out.
Well, he actually by the time Part 1 came out, because it's the loving memories for him in that one. But they filmed these movies back to back, and there was only 2 scenes.
And I think they
said they gave him to another character. I don't know what the scenes are though.
Yeah.
But also just...
But you could also tell that in Part 2 he wasn't as...
with it.
But that he just, like, his character, like... Wasn't as... Yeah. And maybe because of what he was going through, maybe they were like, we need to cut you down. But it is incredibly... It's incredibly sad.
But basically, Coin, Plutarch, Boggs, all of them are like, this is it. We are now taking this to the Capitol, and we are going to destroy them.
Look, we're not getting another movie, you guys. We got to get this done.
We got to get this shit done. And the line is said, welcome to the 76th Hunger Games, which I do remember distinctly being in the trailer. But they're going to send their little recon team in first, which has Gale and Peter and Boggs. Gale, Katniss and Boggs. And then Peter's like, I want to come along. And they're like, you're taking this kid. Like, it's like those things where it's like, I don't want to take my little brother along with me. It's like, that's exactly what Peter is at that point. But they get to the Capitol.
I don't care that you don't want to. Just take him along. The Capitol has machine gun traps. They have bomb traps. They have a tar river trap.
It's just not working out for these guys. But once they get to the capital, this is where the movie gets boring for me because it's kind of like just this. They're just going from like location to location in the capital. And it's like, we got there. Oh, no, there's something here. Oh, we got there. Oh, no, there's something here. And we got there. Oh, no, there's something here. That's where I kind of just like, this doesn't really.
It's kind of like the way that they could have cut down on visiting all the districts in part 1.
Yes.
They could have cut down on some of the...
Well, because we see all of this in part 1, basically. You know what I mean? Like, that's the annoying part, I think. So, yeah, I agree. Like, they could cut it down and use the Mockingjay part 2 or just have it all in part 1 and then just have the capital attack. Like, this is supposed to be an adaptation of the book. You can change something
and, like, we know that you got through all of this in the book.
Exactly,
So
right?
it's like,
but
it was the cool thing to do at that point, like to have the two movies, you know, and also like
they made lots of money.
Yeah, we need to get that coin. So
coin, Julianne Moore.
That was completely unintentional.
There's a news report that comes up from Caesar Flickerman that's basically like, how devastating is this? The girl on fire who we once loved is now invading the capital. So they're like, everyone in the capital's like, oh my God, why are we being betrayed?
Yeah.
And then Katniss.
Why are we being betrayed by this woman that's like clearly defied all rules?
Wait, she hated us from the start? What the fuck? We were duped. We were betrayed. And then President Snow's doing his address, and then it's like the broadcast is brain hijacked by Katniss and whatnot. But again, it's like all shit we saw in part 1. So, yeah. But also, I wrote this down. Do you remember when President Snow was sick 2 movies ago? That just seems to come back up again all of a sudden. He's coughing up more blood than ever now. But to get into the capital, they have to go through this sewer system. They have to go underground so they don't get noticed, but because they're now basically wanted fugitives. But to get further, they have to go through this sewer system, which leads us to my favorite scene in the film, but the scene that I have no fucking idea why it's in this movie. It is the most tonally out of place horror sequence.
Yeah.
Now, I get that there's creatures like in the first Hunger Games with the fucking greyhound dog things.
No, but they're
like computer, like they're in an arena, right?
They're like, they've been like
they
modified.
lived and they lived down here.
They've been modified for that. This was, it's
weird.
I remember when I first saw this in the cinemas and I was like, this is fucking cool.
Very cool.
But I was like, but this belongs in a different movie.
Completely different movie. Now, it makes sense. Francis Lawrence directed this film, also directed I Am Legend, and I got big I Am Legend vibes from this, like especially the bank scene where Will Smith goes into the bank. Will Pinkett Smith goes into the bank and shout out. But like it's a horror. And I remember because it was rated M here in Australia for like violent scenes and a horror sequence.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that must be this. And it's scary. There's some good jump scares. The creature design's real scary, and it's fucking brutal because Finnick dies, and he is ripped apart by the mutts, is what they're called.
It makes you realize Francis Lawrence is like a really good like genre director, because I'm
Very
pretty sure
good genre director.
Did he do Constantine?
I believe he did actually. Yes,
and
Constantine's fucking awesome.
Underrated as fuck.
Super underrated. Constantine. He did Slumberland last year. And obviously Red Sparrow, which we both enjoyed.
And Water for Elephant. Oh, he directed Circus. On your mate.
Oh, the Britney Spears music video,
Oh, great.
Pump It.
He's done a lot. He's done some fucking good
great music videos. The Real Me, J-Lo.
Like, I don't care if you don't like Jenny from the Block.
Jenny from the Block.
As a
Cry
song.
Me a River.
I don't care if you don't like those songs. Those are fucking good music videos.
Wow. Skater Boy?
Wow.
Dude, Francis Lawrence has a fucking filmography of music videos.
I'm a Slave for You. Yes, man.
Yeah, he's all over it.
He's done it.
Wow.
Feeling So Good. Independent Women.
Fucking hell.
Waiting for Tonight. Man. Rhythm Divine. Yes.
I don't want to miss the thing.
Oh.
It's so funny what we're noticing. Like, there's stark differences in our music choices. Wow, he's great. He's Francis Lawrence, but also directed I Am Legend.
He directed I Am
Legend. And I love I Am Legend. But
I like most of that.
Don't like the ending?
I hate the ending.
Have you seen all cuts of the ending? All the
I know
ones?
that there's the other cut for the ending.
It's interesting.
But I hated it.
We'll see whether this I Am Legend 2 happens or not.
Oh, I don't think it will.
Michael B. Jordan.
I don't think it will. We don't need it.
We don't need it.
We don't need it.
But I also love the explosive arrows in this part. Like, it really, like, all the fire when it, like, lights up, then you can see, like, how many fucking mutts are down there. Like, it's cool, but does not belong.
It doesn't belong.
This film.
It feels almost like like, I don't know, like if Francis Lawrence, like in the right, like if he was just like, just give me a sequence to like, we need to like.
Well, I don't know if it's in the book either.
Yeah,
like,
we need to like bump this up. So,
which makes sense because it is a draggy movie.
Yeah.
But once they get out of there, they end up in this palace or this mansion that's owned by Tigress, who is basically like almost like Cinna is also a designer for the tributes. Who was kicked out of the capital by Snow because she did too many facial modifications to look like a tiger because she wanted to, that's how she wanted to express herself, which I think is very much the point of why Hunter Schafer is playing the younger version of Tigress because I think that's a very, they're very much of like, altering your body to represent your true self.
Yes.
That could be me looking into it. Who knows? But that's just kind of what I'm getting.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
But she takes him in for refuge and whatnot and gives him supplies and shit. Whereas Snow's like calling basically any refugee from any district can come to the capital for safety. But he's just basically making a human shield.
Yeah.
So they can't get to the capital, which is great. Yeah. Like, again,
Snow, like,
don't condone what Snow's doing.
Snow to the end is just like, I'm a piece of shit.
He is a piece of shit and he fucking knows it.
He's like... He's very Trumpy.
Super Trumpy.
Yeah.
Super duper Trumpy.
Just minus all of like the assault stuff.
Well, that we know of.
For Snow.
Yeah. That we know of.
But yeah.
Anyway.
I was like,
I'm not going to create some fan fiction about like the snow and diamonds.
I didn't want that turning into anything. I was just saying he's a bit Trumpy.
Gale and Katniss disguise themselves in the best way you can disguise yourself by putting a hood on.
Yeah.
And they try and walk with the refugees to the capital because they think that could be their best way in, is just to disguise themselves with everyone else. But then there is a bombing that takes out this human shield, basically, which is then discovered it was by Coin. Coin used that as a chance to get into the capital, but to make it look like the capital were drawing people in and killing them.
Julianne Moore, classic Hillary Clinton move.
Expose them emails, baby. So Gale gets captured at that point. So just before the bombing, Gale gets captured and then Katniss is trying to get away. The bombing happens, kills a shitload of children. Like, that's the main thing because they're trying to bring children in first. It's fucking hectic.
It's pretty bleak.
But then there's a retaliation attack while after the first bombing, and one of the volunteers who is helping people out is Prim. And right in front of Katniss's eyes, Prim is killed in the retaliation explosion.
Yeah.
Which is fucking heavy. Yeah. Hectic. But it also knocks Katniss out, which I think she gets a lot of concussions in this series. Like, there's a lot of like knocked out, wake up in a room sort of thing.
Wake up and being like, what's happened? And then someone go, here's exposition, basically.
So she wakes up, finds out that the rebels won. They got into the capital. They've captured Snow.
Yeah.
But then it's then revealed that Coin was behind the bombings. Gale knew the bombings was going to happen. And he feels incredibly guilty because he now knows it's killed Prim.
Yeah.
But that's the last straw for Katniss. She's like, don't ever see me again. Yeah. Like, I don't ever want to talk to you again.
I'm done.
I'm done with you.
Yeah. Like, I was already pretty much done with you, but now
since you knew about the bombing that killed my sister, we're done.
We're done.
So they're in their little war conference room. Everyone's there. Jeffrey Wright and Katniss and Coin and Haymitch and shit. And she basically is like, we are going to do a public execution of President Snow. Yes. There will be a ceremonial Hunger Games in which family members of capital, like higher ups, are going to compete. Yeah. And also there's going to be no democratic vote. I am now the president. And you kind of go, okay, hold up a second. Like, you bombed all these people and now you're just going to take over in like a real dictatorial fashion? Something's up with this Coin. But Katniss doesn't like play her cards just yet. She basically just goes, I want to execute President Snow. She's like, I've been through all of this.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the one who kills him.
Owe me this.
And Coin's like, no, that's fair. Like, it would be great that the person who led the revolution.
Like, think of the ratings.
He's like, I'm thinking merchandise.
Merchandising. Spaceballs, the video. Hunger Games, the lunchbox.
Which is pretty much like, how are you going to stimulate the economy now?
President Snow dolls.
It's little bobbleheads that don't have the head, right? It's just Snow's body. So Katniss is like, I want to kill President Snow. Coin's like, fuck yeah, let's go for it. Yeah. So everyone's there in the Capitol, like where all the ceremonies have taken place for the last 4 movies.
Yeah.
Katniss pulls back the bow, looking straight at Snow, aims up, bang, straight through Coin's chest. She kills President Coin. Baller, love Katniss. And then Snow, it just starts pissing himself laughing.
Yeah.
And then the whole mob just come in and rip him to pieces. Like it's brutal, man. Yeah. It's fucking brutal. Then they get Katniss out of there. They're pretty much like, you can go to jail for that. You've just killed you basically assassinated a president.
Yeah.
But they kind of spin it to be like, also President Snow's dead, and we're kind of like everything else you've done. It's like a pardon for her.
And then you'd also be like, and President Coin did a lot of criminal things too.
Yeah, totally.
In some ways, you did. Like,
they end up pardoning her, basically.
Favor, so
it's so funny how they have to put it off as like, so you're pardoned from these crimes.
Yeah, even though she should be like, this is the least that you owe me. Like I've pretty much saved all of you.
Panem.
Yeah. Panem.
And rightfully so. She should get let loose. But then the team break up. Everyone's like, it's time to go do our things now. And there's a really cute moment between Effie and Haymitch. Yeah. They kiss each other on the cheek and then they kiss each other on the lips. And I was like, that's nice.
Kind of like, you guys have been working together for years.
It's kind of cute.
You're like at this.
Do you want to know what's even cuter?
What's that?
Wasn't scripted. Elizabeth Banks and Woody Harrelson both were like, let's do this. Like, we think this is what our characters
would do.
And it makes it even nicer when they're like, our characters have been through so much. It would be nice for them to have a little moment together. And it's just a nice little peck on the lips. It's it's actually really sweet.
And it's not leading to like a love, it's just like, hey, I mean,
we've been through this.
They probably went and fucked rotten afterwards.
And would you blame him?
Yeah, I wouldn't. No.
Fuck no.
But yeah, it's a nice moment.
She's like, let me wear my wig though.
He's like, let me wear the wig.
But Katniss returns to District 12. She returns to her home where...
What's left of it?
What is left is Primrose's cat. And she fucking loses the cat. But like, it's finally that like the first time literally since being volunteered for the Hunger Games where she's been able to actually just like stop.
Yeah.
Like
take a breath.
It's been years for her.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking because you kind of like, there's no actual...
Well, how long do you think it would have been?
Resolve. Maybe like, if it's a 70, so three years. So 74. Oh yeah, 2 years would make more sense. Yeah, 2 and a bit years.
Yeah. That's a lot
which is brutal, man. Like it's hectic. So... And she finally gets to stop. And there's no kind of like real nice resolve because we go in the future. Her and Peter are together. They're married. They have 2 kids.
Yeah.
And
which she said that, I think earlier, maybe it's in the Hunger Games. She says something about like that's something that she would never do.
Never do.
I'm pretty sure she
Which is kind of even sadder then if that's like she has no resolve.
I'm pretty sure she was like, and maybe it was because she just saw like how awful it was to live with to have kids in a world where where you know that potentially
maybe her perspective changed a little bit. Right?
Yeah.
But then she's talking to her little baby while Peter's off playing with like their oldest child, who's like probably like 3 or 4. And she's like, I don't know if I'll ever tell you like what happened and like how we got here. And I'm like, that to me is actually a really sad ending because Katniss gets no way to resolve anything. Like she got to kill, like Snow died.
Yeah.
And it all ended,
in a world
but
that you hope is
better for it. But like she herself doesn't really have anything. Like she has Peter, but like...
But then it's also like, I'm guessing you almost like, if she's saying, I don't know if I'll ever tell you, you're almost like, are they just going to wipe all of that from history?
From his history, yeah.
Are they just like, everyone that's born from now on will never know what a Hunger Game is?
Yeah, right. Unless it pops up again. Yeah. Unless Katniss is like, fuck is...
Can you imagine later on how she's just
President Everdeen?
She's just like, I'm starting a Hunger Games.
She's like, I get it. I get it, Snow.
Yeah.
But I don't think
talks to his head in like a box.
Oh my, could you imagine? They've all kept like little parts of his body. To me, it's not a happy ending.
No.
I don't think it's like a miserable ending, but it's definitely not a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I kind of respect it for that.
Yeah, I mean, we need movies that are a little bit more like realistic
to do that, right?
To be like, you know what? Not everyone gets a happy ending.
No, and not like a traditional like,
happy ending.
everything was happily ever
like
after.
she lives, Peter lives, they're together, like they finally did
Like,
that.
they-
We get it, but it's also like, but at what cost?
At what cost? But that was the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games quadrilogy leading up to the prequel Hunger Games Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Again, like we said, like it's a well-made franchise for the most part.
Yeah.
But it's not one I find myself returning to a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, Catching Fire is so good, and my enjoyment of Mockingjay Part 1 did go up because I think as I have grown up too, as I've become a man, Peter, I think I just enjoy political dramas and thrillers. I think they're sort of my bread and butter at the moment. So I enjoyed that aspect.
Fair.
So. But that is that. But that's one more month down. That's the month of November down. This year has flown by. We have one more month left.
Yeah, when we next talk, I will be 1 year closer to fucking middle-agedness. Anyway.
I mean, you kind of know. But you couldn't tell. Those watching on the YouTube wouldn't be able to tell.
And Lily Sullivan couldn't tell.
Lily Sullivan also shout out. While we're at this point.
Fuck yeah.
Interviews with Lily Sullivan went up on the day today of recording. So this is probably coming out in like a week and a half from now. So
there'll be interviews out with the creators of Scary Girl.
Scary Girl, yes. Yeah, I will be talking. You've spoken to the actors.
Gillian Ewan and Remy. I don't know if it's he or
Hi.
They've the two voice actors in it.
And then I'm talking to the creator of Scary Girl and one of the producers. So it's another fun Australian animated film. We've had a couple of interviews pop up lately.
I spoke to David Gordon Green for The Exorcist Believer. We were probably two of the only people that didn't hate that movie.
I enjoyed it. I liked it for what it was.
I've got an interview with Susanna Fogel for Cat Person. She was the director of Spy Who Dumped Me.
That's right.
Booksmart.
Great movie. Booksmart's fucking great.
So yeah.
I spoke to Garth Davis for his new movie Foe. We both spoke to Robert Bennett,
who is the lead animatronic designer on Five Nights at Freddy's,
who arguably does the best work in the film.
I was very much noticing the
animatronics look fantastic. They are the highlight of the film.
Of a movie that's
and it was interesting to talk to someone in that aspect of that field. Like we don't usually get to talk to many people who do like a lot of the physical visual work. Yeah. So that was fun.
And
there's things potentially in the pipeline.
Things popping up, but we don't know what's happening because of the strikes.
As at this point of recording, this actors' strike still is ongoing. Pay your artists, pay your actors what they fucking deserve to be paid.
Yeah. And they're actually not asking for a lot.
No, they're not.
But there is one that we'd love the actors' strike to be done because
you get to talk to
they're potentially dangling people in front of us that are pretty great.
I know and not for the movie you would expect, but we'll take it.
Yeah.
But there's stuff in the pipeline potentially, we're recording it a lot earlier before the release because we're both going into Brisbane International Film Festival. Lots of shit happening there.
To get a heck-a-tick.
It's going to be fun, but we'll be seeing things like Poor Things.
And
I'll be seeing Saltburn.
Yeah.
You'll be close to seeing Saltburn.
I'll be close to seeing Saltburn. We're seeing Uproar.
Uproar for opening night. Next Goal Wins for closing night.
Yeah. There's some other movies in there.
There's heaps. I'm seeing 22 movies. Yeah. 21 now, actually. I got a screener for one the other day.
Yeah.
Boom. But lots happening. That's why this episode's recorded real early, so lots of things could have changed in like the week and a half since release. But do you know what hasn't changed?
What hasn't changed?
Our love for the audience.
It really hasn't.
And we thank you all so much for listening. So if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Consider liking and subscribing.
Like and subscribe. We appreciate you. Support. Thank you very much.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Make sure you follow us, download your episodes on there. And if you download your episodes on there and follow our feeds, you will get a notification for the next episode. Now, there will be 2 episodes, as always, in December because we will be doing our next movie. And then we will be doing our 2023 recap, which will be a lot of fun this year.
Obviously, like best films that we didn't like, favorite scenes,
favorite rewatches for the show,
performances, things that we'll
be getting your picks for favorite films of 2023 as well. So be on the watch out for that. But before that, there will be an episode coming out.
And I don't know if I know what we're doing for December.
I know what we're doing for December, Peter.
Do I know and I just forgot, or
you might know?
Have you changed it?
No, I don't think I've changed it, but you might just not know.
Yeah, maybe.
We're going to a world in which...
Oh, I do know.
Good. Okay, great. That takes away all of the intrigue. Then. But we're about to watch the movie that's coming out is the third iteration of this story, so to say.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like, come with me, and you'll see a world of pure imagination.
We're going Wonka.
Willy Wonka.
Which we will be watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
With Gene Wilder.
And then we'll be watching Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp, directed by Tim Burton. And then obviously all leading up to the prequel, another prequel series. Wonka with
Timothée Chalamet. Oh, as Florence Pugh likes to call him, Timothy Chalamet Bing Bong.
Bing Bong. Hugh Grant.
Olivia Colman. Keegan-Michael Key.
Oh, such a good cast. Directed by Paul King, who does the
Paddington series. So that gives me a lot of faith.
Screenplay by, we interviewed him. What's his name? Phantom of the Open. Can't remember his name.
Yeah, I
Did
know
the
what
Mighty
you mean.
Boosh. Simon something.
Yeah.
It's annoying me.
Yeah.
But he wrote the scripts and he was a fantastic interview.
He really was.
And I asked him about Wonka in that interview actually. But that's what we'll be doing next month on the monthly movie marathon. So if you do play along at home, watch the movies before we record the episodes, do so.
Also, quickly, Paddington news. Paddington 3 has been announced.
Paddington in Peru
2025.
Yeah, get it done right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? God, I love those movies. Though.
But we know that Sally Hawkins is not coming back.
Yes, I did know that.
She's being replaced by someone. Is it someone?
Sad.
I feel like I don't know if it's true. It's because people want her to be in it, or she has signed on to it. But Olivia Colman.
Oh,
I feel like people
Didn't Olivia Colman play the voice of Paddington's mum?
Maybe she did.
So maybe she's back because Paddington's going back to his home country.
Peru, yeah. I would love Phoebe Waller-Bridge to be the villain in it.
Ooh,
that'd be great.
That'd be fun.
Because the villains in those movies, Hugh Grant and Nicole Kidman.
So
much
good.
fun.
But we love those movies.
We do.
But Wonka, for the next episode,
Yeah.
Pete, as we wrap up, where shall people find you if they put Peter Gray in on the interweb machine?
You can find me on Twitter, which is obviously now called X, but we just call it Twitter. And Instagram, rated PDG. And you can find me on the AU Review predominantly, where all my interviews and reviews go up. Thank you to everyone who's been reading my shit.
Totally.
Because Saw X is still in the top 10.
Killing it. Great movie too.
And Rotten Tomatoes. And also shout out to the Wiggles for highlighting me because I was the first person to put a review up for their hot potato.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey.
And they were like, hey, our reviews are out. And there I was. And I was like,
that's
you very
fucking
much.
Cool.
Also,
that Wiggles documentary is
really
fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it.
And I was very grateful that it wasn't, there's no like dark, I mean, it shows obviously that they went through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But there was no like...
It's not the expose of the Wiggles.
These aren't like bad men.
No.
They're just like, they just want to make people happy.
And they do.
It's really great. So that's where you can find me. Where can they find you, Nicholas?
I'm so glad you asked.
Because you knew I was going to.
I'm on Instagram and X and Letterboxd at nicksflicksfix. You'll find my 60-second, now sometimes 90 seconds, but who's counting reviews, video-wise on there, and clips. Well, I like to think that I can go from a 60-second to a 90-second man with a bit of practice. And interview clips on there too. And if you want to see full interviews, go to novastreamnetwork.com or novastream.com.au now will take you to the new website. And I also have some written reviews up on there. And all of my Biff coverage will be on Novastream.
Yeah, all my Biff coverage will be on the AU review.
It's going to be big, baby.
It's going to be huge.
Yeah, I'm basically doing nothing but Biff for about 10 fucking days.
Yeah.
So, and I'm excited. But thank you all for watching. And until the next episode,
bye! It's so fun.